They said, "Where's George?" I say, "George is right here." What's going on, y'all? Let's get this thing popping, man. We doing an open panel discussion today. Hold on a second. I always start the show and don't have a damn thing. We're doing open panel discussion today, and we're gonna talk about homosexuality in the black community. Oh shit. I've done shows in the past. I've done shows in the past where I've discussed homosexuality in the black community. I've discussed pedophilia. I've discussed many different things. But what I want to do, I want to get the perspective of the people, because people that know me know my perspective and how I feel. And what I do know is when you have these type of conversations in the black community, what you get is crickets. I mean, literally crickets. People don't want to talk about homosexuality in the black community. People don't want to talk about pedophilia in the black community. What we want to do is, I don't have a problem with straight black pride, but we don't want to deal with the pedophilia inside our households. We don't want to deal with. Let me put the link in the chat for people to come on. I'm putting out the challenge. I'm putting out the challenge today for people to come on, because let me tell y'all something. If I continuously see people crying about the homosexual agenda, and people got a problem with Dwayne Wade and what he's doing with his son, but I don't see conversations about pedophilia in the black community, I got a problem with that. I'm calling hypocrite. I'm calling hypocrite. If you have a problem with the tranny, the trans children, the trans adults, you got a problem with all these different things. I live in the black community. What I don't see is the conversations and things being dealt with in the community. I see people that frown upon homosexuality. I see people that don't like seeing the tranny in the schools. Hold on for a second. Yeah, I see people. Look, do your local census database. Many are within the family. I see people very angry. But this is the thing. I'm gonna say some stuff that people ain't gonna like today. I said some stuff earlier, and on purpose, and they cut the YouTube while I was live on my phone when I was really going at the government. But a lot of y'all want to complain about the every gay person wasn't molested. Well, come on, King Jason, don't talk in the chat. The link is there. Get your ass up here. Let's talk. Listen, everybody got an opinion. The link is there. Get up here and let's have a conversation. Don't stay in the bushes. See, because I'm gonna talk about that. A lot of us, when it comes to this homosexuality, we got comments in the bushes. We got comments in the closet in the dark. We don't want nobody to see us talking about it now. Because now the LGBT community has bullied you and forced you to cower now and be quiet for fear of losing your job, for fear of losing your livelihood. Like you can't have an opinion, a straight opinion anymore. Well, the problem that we have is we got a problem with homosexuality, but we don't protest. We in years' time, we didn't protest and go against a lot of things that the government was sanctioning, that we knew went against our spirituality. We knew was wrong. We took the check. We protested, but then went to work. We didn't fight the good fight with the belief that our spiritual systems that we follow would deliver us and make us win. We went along with which I call the Babylon system. We supported it. So now when they pushing this so-called homosexual agenda, we're afraid to speak out against it for fear of losing our lives. Right, BX? Come on up, BX. We're afraid of having an opinion that we have in the barbershop for fear of losing our lifestyle because we chose a job. We chose the white man's trinkets and gifts over righteousness. We chose it. So take homosexuality out of the equation. We went and bought their beer. We went and bought their liquor. We smoked the cigarettes. We indulged in the disrespectful type of music. We indulged in the pornographic lifestyle that's created within the society. We wasn't throwing rocks at tanks, standing on our spiritual beliefs, saying that this is wicked. We're not going to serve your corporations. We went to work. We chose the Luciferian lifestyle. And now we're complaining when he's unveiling the mask and he's pushing homosexuality. We chose it. We chose Babylon. See, for those of you that may watch me, some of you may understand, but some of you may not understand. You get up in the morning and you go to work and you bust your ass to make sure your children have all the things that they need. But we're still serving the Luciferian system. It's not pushing family. It's not pushing morality. It's not pushing standards. They have you come to court and say you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God, and put your right hand on the Bible and all these different things, but they don't go along with the law that's in the Bible. They separate church and state. They separate religious aspect and state. Even your churches signed your 501(c)(3)s where they don't speak on political issues. They chose the Luciferian trinkets over standing on righteousness. So now your church is scared to speak out against homosexuality. Your leaders is afraid to speak out on homosexuality because they chose Lucifer over righteousness. So now you see the agenda being pushed full-fledged. And everybody's afraid to have an opinion now. Because Satan is telling you, man, shut your ass up and sit down. You work for me. I wish you would have something to say about homosexuality. You will be fired from your job. See what I'm saying? This is what's happening. How many of y'all is at your churches asking your pastor, why won't he speak out publicly against this agenda? Now, what I want to do is, there's two dynamics happening. Because in the black community, homosexuality is separate from the homosexuality agenda. I want to make that very clear. And tonight I want to break that down for you guys to give you an understanding that when you are black, whether you're homosexual or straight, in America, you are still black. If a white supremacist walks by, he doesn't see the gay person first, he just sees two black people. But being black in America is one thing, but being black and homosexual in the black community is another thing. Because now you're ostracized for being black, but you also ostracize in your own community for being black and homosexual. But within our community of homosexuality, we got a lot of unresolved issues and undiagnosed traumas that's never been dealt with. We got pedophilia, molestation running rampant in the black community. A lot of people are outwardly gay, and then you have a lot of people that are gay behind closed doors under the rug, walking amongst you every day. But they keep it as a secret, or they're struggling with it. They have having conversations with certain family members and people that I know that are gay struggled with it a long time before they came out because within the black communities it was frowned upon, it was wrong. So they dealt with women or they dealt with men knowing that they had these other feelings because the black community doesn't create a safe haven where we can have these conversations to talk about it. We just frown upon it and sweep it under the rug as something that we don't want to deal with. But you got a lot of heterosexual males that are raping little girls at a very young age. And they get to walk in the clear. Because we condemn the bull dagger or the dyke, but when she tells you she was molested, everything goes quiet. We have an epidemic and a problem in our community. And what happens is the enemy knows this, because the enemy knows what he's done to us. So now when we ostracize our family members, our sisters, our cousins, our brothers, our uncles that are gay, the LGBT community sees this and says, I'm going to get these people and weaponize them now against their own community. So now you hear them say, well, the gay struggle is equivalent to the civil rights struggle. But there's a lot of black LGBT people pushing that because they felt pushed out of their community because our community failed to deal with it. You got homosexuals in the black community, and then you got heterosexuals in the black community that's just as wild or running just as wild as the homosexuals. These are conversations that we got to have. We got to separate the gay agenda from homosexuality in the black community. The black church don't want to talk about it because Reverend Do You Wrong don't want to bring up the stuff that he was doing. The black church is like a cesspool. I mean, it's filled with homosexuals. Even your masjid is filled with hypersexual, hyper-masculine men that are down low. It's there. But it's silent. It's kept in a dark room. I said, with my camera, I'm showing my grandmom right now. I put my grandmom up. It's being kept in a dark room. And you notice, I throw the link out. Don't nobody want to talk about this because it forces you. And what I got coming, I'm working on right now, I'm going to do. Last year, I interviewed a homosexual man, and he discussed how he was molested from 6 to 15. I'm going to do a series on homosexuality in the black community. And I'm going to go around and record different people. I'm going to talk to straight males. I'm going to talk to homosexuals. I'm going to sit in forums, and we're going to have this discussion that we should be having. But people don't want to have it for some reason. You cannot complain about a homosexual agenda and be mad at Dwayne Wade and what he's doing with his son if you refuse to have this conversation in the black community when we like damn near 4 out of every 10 black women you meet been molested. They've been sexually assaulted by males. So how are we even talking about Dwayne Wade when we're not even talking about the way our black women are being molested? We're not talking about how our black boys are being molested in our own communities. Undiagnosed traumas that we pass down generationally. Generational curses that's been passed down that's never been dealt with. So even in your ranks of straight black pride, how many people are gay that's screaming straight black pride? Because they may struggle and hate the fact that they have these homosexual tendencies because of what happened to them, so they latch on to anything heterosexual. See, I'm dealing with this thing from a psychological aspect. You got people going around straight black pride. They probably gay as a mug. But in their mind, they don't want to be gay. But somebody violated them. See, let's have real conversations. The same way we got to clean up the drugs in the community. The same way we got to clean up the single mom syndrome. The same way we got to clean up gentrification. Guess what? Homosexuality is one of the causes. But see, this is the problem. How much is there to discuss with homosexuality is not normal? Don't engage. That comment right there is the problem. There's a lot that we got to discuss. Because saying that it's wrong and don't engage, it takes way more than that. When you have something insulated that's been psychologically in the community for so long, when you got people, young kids out being touched beyond their will. So it's more than just don't engage. That makes me worry when a person like you would make that statement. That's a problem. How can we say it's wrong and don't engage when you got 6-year-olds right now being molested before they even understand what sexuality is, before they even understand what right and wrong is? We know that shooting people is wrong, but it happens every day in the black community. We know that drinking liquor is wrong, but they do it every day. We know that lying is wrong. We know that a lot of things are wrong, but we get hypocritical and people drop off in whole ass when it's time to talk about this. But we'll talk about every goddamn thing else. I don't see that comment when we talk about black female fuckery or black male fuckery. I don't see the comment, how much is it to discuss? We know that cheating is wrong. Well, if that's the case, we shouldn't be on YouTube talking about none of the shit that we talk about, because all of it is wrong. But see, you speaking in absolutes. There's a lot of people. So I guess you're perfect, Yellow Rose. You rose above everything. You don't have no problem. So it's really no need to be on YouTube. You should be somewhere having think tanks to show people how to be successful. To be successful. We got it. Nobody said that it was an excuse. I hope that I'm not making you relive something that you don't want to relive. So you just try to deck the conversation. I hope that that's not the point. Because that's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do is, what's the epidemic in the community can't be an excuse. Can't be an excuse. But the only way you're going to have to rise above it is people have to see that people care and people understand the plight, and people have to know that people actually care about it. It's funny. It's funny because last year when I was doing this, I had the same shit. But I noticed when I'm talking about the drug epidemic, when I'm talking about abuse, physical abuse of women, when I'm talking about white supremacy, I don't get them comments. I don't get them comments. I noticed that. But when I get to this part, nobody want to talk about it. I get the excuses. We got to just get past it. I get all that. But if I was in here talking about white supremacy and what the white man has done to us generationally, people being here like, yeah, George. But now when I start talking about how somebody may have touched you when you were 6, and let's talk about how you can get help so we don't have pedophilia in the community, don't nobody want to talk about it. Don't nobody want to talk about that. But everybody want to complain. Everybody want to complain that there's a gay agenda. I'm going to put the links out again. I'm going to see who want to come up and talk. Don't nobody want to talk about this. Now, tomorrow, I'll do a stream, and I'll talk about how these black women are fucked up. And I guarantee you, I'll have 100 people in here and a full panel. I'm going to do a stream, these black women ain't shit. And I'll have a full panel. But the minute I do a stream where I say, let's talk about why so many black girls are being molested, and by the time they come to you as ready for relationships or ready to come to you to be a wife, she's already ruined psychologically. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about why these women are so out of control and so disrespectful with their mouth and so promiscuous. Because now let's delve into it. I mean, maybe Yellow Rose, this one ain't for you. You might have to bow this one out because you got it figured out. Everybody ain't got it figured out like you. You may have been touched before and don't want to deal with it. You may have not been in touch. It's not an excuse. It's not an excuse. People that was forced against their will, people was touched when they was too young to understand sex that's been psychologically fucked up. It's not an excuse. But people like you are the problem. I would never want you around certain people to talk to, because you something may have happened to you that has messed up your sympathy towards, or ability to be sympathetic towards certain people. We have to be able to, we have to get to a point where we can, the same way I could talk to a kid that had a crack addicted mother and never knew his father, and he grew up in an environment where it was nothing but trouble, and the hood took him under, and now I take him under my wing, and now I have to take him under my wing. No, we don't cut nothing off. At some point, we have to rebuild and refocus our people, retrain our people, because that's the case. We might as well just cut the whole black community off, because everybody's fucked up. You got black people that may not be gay or may not be tested, don't give a shit about other black people. You got black people that's conditioned to believe that white people is better. They go down on their own. You got fucked up shit amongst black people all the way across the board. So by your analogy, we should just cut everybody off. No, what we have to do is deprogram our people and begin to deal with issues that we refuse to deal with in the black community. And I'm tired of seeing all these, you know why that you got telling people to, right. You can't see, but this is how I know that you don't know. Because I'm gonna read your statement. I'm gonna show you, I'm not disrespecting Yellow Rose, but I'm gonna show you the ignorance in your statement and why you should just be listening. Watch this. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna break this down, show you why I'm Bishop George. Let me read your comment. I know plenty of gays, and I'm not uncaring. I'm just understanding that in order to reinforce and retain is to cut off the infection. Watch this. I'm gonna tell you why you gotta start thinking before you talk and analyze. And I'm not being disrespectful to you at all. So I don't want you to take this as disrespect. What I want you to do is this. Because of the way we viewed homosexuality and because of the way we treated it, you have too many down low people that's amongst you that are gay, that's engaging in a lifestyle that you don't know. So I guess you would go along with, if I don't know, then it's not a problem, but it is a problem. The ones that are outwards, the ones that are behind closed doors, that may be causing the pedophilia. We have to have an open forum conversation to the point where people know that we are now paying attention to it. We are now saying, I'm not going to complain about Dwayne Wade and his son, who has no problem pushing this agenda for the dominant society at the behest of the community, because the community never talked about it anyway. The community turned their back on it. The community lets the down low brother just function. We don't care. We don't care about none of it. You can't cut off what you don't know. You can't cut off what you don't understand. You can't cut off what you've never dealt with. You can't make those statements like that when there's never been an open forum or there's never been a place where we dealt with that in our community. We just shunned it. So how can you cut something off? And then when you see the LGBT community moving within our communities, now we got something to say. Now we so upset. But I'm telling you, and I'm telling the rest of y'all, you chose your job and everything else unclean over righteousness. And now all of a sudden you got a problem when Satan shows up with all his minions pushing this shit on our people. But what I'm saying is you can't cut off anything without dealing with it first. But the problem, Yellow Rose, is we don't want to deal with it because it makes us have to relive the secrets and the pain that a lot of people have put behind and has went on with their life. So you don't want to deal with it. You don't want to talk about it. You don't want nobody else to talk about it. You don't want nobody to know that secret that you've been touched. You don't want nobody to know that Uncle Larry touched you So you trying to protect Uncle Larry now. You don't want nobody to know. And by George bringing this up brings back memories. But before we get to the word cut it off, we shouldn't even be saying cut off until we deal with it first. Because when you use words like cut off, it's insensitive to the people that's reaching out for help. And they're looking at their own people first, but their own people talking about we should cut it off. And they're saying, how do you even know what happened to me? You're already talking about cut off. So you know what they do? They don't even talk. But we won't even know Uncle Larry if we get to the point of cutting off. And that's what makes me really examine people that outwardly go so hard, because when you do a close examination, you find out that they was touched. And they don't want to talk about it. And they don't want nobody else to talk about it. They don't want it being pushed. I'm telling you, I've seen this shit already. Because I've been on this thing for the last 3 years. And last year, I had made a conscious decision. No, I'm not angry, Jordan. I'm not angry. I'm not angry at all. I'm not angry. I'm not angry at Yellow Rose. It's just a conversation. It's just a conversation. If you delve into that, a lot of people get hurt. Everybody needs to know Deacon Wingate, Deacon Cartwright, Cousin Larry, Auntie Rose, because little boys get molested by grown-up women too. We don't talk about it. We don't talk about it. And now you're starting to see, right, so you said my uncle gay and was molested by his brother. Right. We don't talk about it. Do you know they did a survey where they said that 65% of homosexuals in the black community was molested in this survey? Hold on a second. And they talked about being black, hold on, condemnation of homosexuality in the black community. You can't, but see, the thing is, you can't excommunicate Cousin Larry if you're not willing to have that real conversation. And I'm gonna tell you, you can't, see, this is the thing. This is the thing. No matter how hard people may say, and no matter how much you hear, did you see the video of the lady that outed two DI men and they killed her? Oh no, I didn't see that. Let me see. I'm on to oppose. Man, they are virtually the only continuously in the country that has not become supportive over the last years. Yo, get out the kitchen. Hold on for a second. Yo. Hold on for a second, yo. Yeah, I'm trying to get this article. I want to read this article to you guys. Because don't get me wrong, I'm not mad at Yellow Rose for her stance and her opinion. She has a right to have her opinion. What I'm just doing is addressing. I'm just addressing, because a lot of us have these thought process, and I understand where it comes from. Americans' perceptions and beliefs towards that compile with the renewals with the data in the African joint. Young persons generally are more supportive of rights than older persons, but significantly more black youth, 55% believe that homosexuality is always wrong. Now I want to read this. Black attitudes towards LGBT community study. Heterosexual African Americans are more likely than white, 65% versus 53%, to oppose marriage equality for gays and lesbians. They are virtually the only consistency in the country that has not become supportive over the last dozens of years, falling from a high of 65% support gay rights in 1996 to only 40% in 2004. This finding was a key element in a new report at the crossroads African American attitudes, perceptions, and beliefs towards marriage equality that compiled a review all existing poll data on the subject. Hold on. I'm trying to follow. All right, let's go down to here. Young persons generally are more supportive of LGBT rights than older persons, but significantly more black youth, 55%, believe that homosexuality is always wrong, than Latino, 36%, and whites, 35%. According to a recent study from the University of Chicago, several factors contribute to those attitudes. Perhaps most significantly is the disproportionately important role that the church plays within the black community, and the fact that those churches are more likely to have conservative evangelist roots. But what we know is the hypocrisy is that in the black community, man, homosexuality in the black church runs rampant. It runs rampant. But what we do know is it's something that we never ever looked at that was natural or normal. It was something that was we feel like that was forced on us. And in the black community, homosexuality was always there. But cousin Will or cousin William was right. No, I agree, but you can't cut no roots until you actually cut the tree down, until you actually go through the tree to understand and get up and you got to dig up the root. See, the problem is you can't get to the root until you dig it up. So we can't even use the term cut the root out. We got to go to work first before we even get to the root. So when we start saying cut the root off before we even do the work, it sounds insensitive and it sounds like we're not willing to do the work. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. We got to get to the point where we're willing to have the conversation, do the work, and figure out why I want to have an open forum and I want people to come up and figure out let's do it this way. You got a lot of. I disagree with homosexuality, but I love black people. I'm B1. I love black people first, and I know in our communities we have a lot of unresolved issues. And the same way I disagree with homosexuality, I disagree with the black person that's shooting people. I disagree with a lot of things that go on in the black community, not just homosexuality. But for me, and this is my opinion, I can disagree with homosexuality but not hate the homosexual. I can disagree because I don't believe that you can ungay a person or kill all homosexualities. Now let me unpack what I'm saying. They had laws against homosexuality thousands of years ago. It has always existed. But it always existed in the background. Now I'm going to get into something where I'm going to really break this thing down. I'm going to take y'all into the tabernacle of Bishop George and I'm going to really break this thing down. I'm going to really unpack this thing for a minute. I'm going to show y'all something from an aspect that y'all probably never thought about. And this is unpopular because we can't see things beyond our conditioned mind to be able to understand what's really going on. But for me to go around gay bashing and wanting to kill all gays when I know I got gays around me that are gay, but you don't know, that's, that you be fighting forever. Let me tell y'all something though. Let me explain something to y'all. That Roman way of thinking, way of so-called democracy, way of government, agape love, all of those things that was, hold on. All of those things that's been normalized. I read to you guys a couple weeks ago the Michael Swift gay agenda. And what you guys didn't know was homosexuals have been running the world for the last 1,000 years. The known world, homosexuals in Rome and this Rome way of thinking, this Greek way of thinking has been permeating through people for the last 1,000 years. In order to maintain, I want y'all to stay with me for a minute because now we're in the tabernacle and I'm ready to talk to y'all for real. Real talk. I'm ready to educate y'all on something. And I want y'all to listen to what I'm saying and take in what I'm saying. So that way you can have a better clarity, because I'm already speaking the absolute. You can have better clarity as to why you see a homosexual agenda. And you would know Ephesians 6, how to put on your armor of God and how to defend yourself and fight against it and protect your mind from it. Now let me say this. Homosexuals have been running the world for a very long time. But in order for them to maintain dominion and power over the masses, they had to create a nuclear family. These families, procreation through male and female, and create cities. They had to create towns, cities, states, nations. And they needed bodies, to use bodies as slaves to carry out their demented plans and their wars, to eat their foods, to build their corporations, while they hid behind the mask of heterosexual. They hid behind the mask of being heterosexuals within the society. But the whole time, they was pushing pornographic society. They was pushing all of these other things while creating cities. You needed families. You needed babies. You needed bodies to be born. You needed people to work in factories. You needed people to fight in wars. You needed people to be a part of these ambiguous terms like genders and gender and race and all these different things that they created, which was a fabrication to make you be a part of something that really never really that you thought existed. But the whole time they was behind closed doors. But as technology starts to come in and they don't need bodies like they used to because of the automation, because of the robots, all the different things they're creating in the future, they're talking about population decline. It's too many people on the planet. They feeding you this garbage where you can get you can get all the continents in Africa like 4 times. That's how big Africa is. There's enough food here. There's enough land here for all the people. But they lie and tell you that we got to get rid of the population. Because they only created these populations to create their kingdoms where they can live life abundantly. Because to be homosexual is death. You can't have kingdoms of homosexuality because everybody be dead. There will be no kingdom. There is no production of life. So the homosexuality commandeered the world and controlled the heterosexual man, and they sat in the background while they made you believe that the heterosexual had power. Well, really, the heterosexual never had power. The homosexual has always been in power. The pedophile, the tranny, people that you saw on TV, people in your offices, your senators, your lawyers, your doctors, a lot of them was living a lifestyle that was of Rome. But because they had a suit on, because they spoke with the English vernacular proper, you looked at them as people that went along with the aspect of nature. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, but in 2020, you're watching heterosexual man grovel on his knees to the LGBT community, because now the LGBT community is unveiling their mask and they're showing their power. And they're making heterosexual men run in the bushes, run for cover, because he's telling you that you never had power. We always ran this thing. We're going to tell you, we're going to get rid of genders. We're going to get rid of nationalities. Everything is going to be androgynous. It's going to be our way. We're going into the fifth element. But a lot of y'all don't understand where I'm coming from, because now you're in the tabernacle with George, and I'm telling you what they was doing the whole time. You watch the movies like What's going on, Marvin? You watch the movies when they show you these Greek empires. They were great warriors. They would deal with that shit before they deal with bullying in school. They had these great warriors in Greece. And in Greece, women had no rights. They wasn't even citizens. The males were citizens. They only used women for procreation. Their choice of love was men. And it's never changed. It's never changed. You got pedophilia rings all over the world. Listen, I'm telling y'all, we have been duped. You are watching the world crawl on their knees because you've been led to believe that the hypermasculine male was in charge, and he never was. And you watch these males today, they'll side with that society, that Roman society, for a bag, just to get a bag. You'll watch the church, they won't take a stand. The masjids won't take a stand. They're apologizing. Everything that Michael Swift said in that manifesto is what's happening now. But you couldn't have a full-fledged gay agenda until they got the technology straight, to the point where they felt like they didn't need bodies to do work. They needed slave labor. They needed slave labor to do work. You watch movies like the Clone Wars, and they show you how they're creating things to do the work for you. So now we don't need humans. We don't need bodies. So now we can just take the mask off and say, hey, we've been gay the whole time. We've been in power the whole time. How do you decipher who's gay and who's not? How do you know if you voting to put a man as president and he's he's sympathetic to the homosexual community? You don't know. How do you know if your war general isn't a homosexual, or your favorite football player, or even your father who's been married to your mother for 15 years and you got siblings, but he's gay? What I'm saying is, Rome has been in power for a very long time. And we chose corporations and jobs and the Babylonian system over righteousness, over what we believe to be right. And we chose not to deal with certain topics and sweep it under the rug. So now you're too scared to speak against homosexuality for fear of losing your job, because you chose that over righteousness. Now you're in the bushes. I hate homosexuality. I can't stand these gays, but I gotta say it. I gotta be quiet about it because I'm gonna lose my job. So who's more powerful, the homosexuality or the heterosexual man? When the so-called heterosexual man can't even have an opinion about homosexuality today. Who's running the show? How did they just come in the last 10 years, just come and take over everything? To the point where pedophilia is going to be legalized. They got transsexuals in schools talking to our children. Talking to our children. What power does the heterosexual man have? If somebody explain to me, let me put the link in the chat. Let's put the link in the chat. Open panel. Somebody come tell me, what power does the homosexual male have today? When you watching these pastors from pulpits go against the law and go against the Bible, because they don't want to lose their 501c You don't want to speak out against homosexuality because you don't want to lose your job. They normalizing this stuff inside your mind, and you think that they just came about in the last 10 years. No, they've been running the show the whole time. They're creating nanotechnology. They're cloning things. They're creating automation to do your jobs. Damn near 60% of the workforce in the next 20 years is going to be gone. They don't need bodies to do it no more. They got robots to do it. So they ain't got to hide in the shadows no more. The white homosexual male had been running the show for a long time. And he used his woman to procreate while he still delved in this agape love and oh man, I'm watching this and I get upset when I see the gay agenda, and I feel some type of way that Dwayne Wade is being used as the poster child, and he has his son out in front. It's very dangerous because his son may see the comments and get down on the stuff and may commit suicide because he's using his son as cannon fire, a 12-year-old who may struggle with his thought process where at 16 he might not want to be with a man. He might want to be with a woman, but his business and everything about him is being put out in the front. And the agenda is getting a part of that. And they know the black community is the last community to crack. The black community was the last community to break, to get us to conform to homosexuality. So let's use Dwayne Wade and let's use some of these athletes and entertainers to go along with it. Where they begin to normalize your mind to say it's okay now. So now you got trannies where he say, well, I'm not gay because I'm a she and I've always been attracted to men. See, Brianna G, they will have boys saying that I'm not gay because I'm a woman now and I've always been attracted to men. This is what they're pushing. And they're saying that we are a normal people society and we should be able to work around your children. But in the black community, we've never dealt with homosexuality. So how can I trust a heterosexual around my children, let alone a transsexual or whatever, all the different terms that they like to use? I don't even trust heterosexuals around my granddaughter, around my girls, because there's a lot of heterosexual males that's touching little girls that's turning them that way. Heterosexual women that's touching boys that's messing up their minds. And we're going to sit here and be powerless? We're going to sit here and be powerless and watch them mandate laws that will allow trannies to talk to our babies? So I ask the question again. If you're complaining about a gay agenda, how much power in 2020 and going forward does the heterosexual male have? Do we really believe in these spiritual systems that we propagate? Or are we waiting for the sky to crack open and some God to descend down and destroy all sin? Or what stand are you taking? Because you say, be not conformed to the world. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Most black trans women are being murdered black men, and a lot of them are honest and still get killed. That's like that lifestyle, isn't it? Right. No, I agree, Tiff. And this is why I'm doing I'm doing a series on this, and it's going to be unpopular in the community, but I don't give a damn because I want to show just how powerless we say straight black pride, but I want to show just how powerless straight black people are because we're not willing to take a stand. We're not willing to stand up. We're not willing to stand on our beliefs. We talk this talk out of our mouth, but we still want to serve the system, which is pushing the gay agenda. You got to really look at it from that aspect. We support the programming and social engineering. These people control the way you think, what you eat, the way you dress, what you read. And in all those, what you eat, the way you dress, the way you think, what you read. And all of those programming, you have homosexuality permeate through all of it. And you don't even realize it. The astrazine, the stuff that's in the foods, it's controlling the way it's functioning within the hormones of a woman, within your sperm, the things that you eat. Look this stuff up. I did the video on it not too long ago. They got nanotechnologies now that they can put into your body and alter the way your brain thinks. They got all these things that's going on that's against you, and I keep asking you, how much power does the heterosexual male have? And who's heterosexual and who's not? So when we talk about this gay agenda, how are we really attacking this gay agenda? I know I'm not. I did an open panel for a reason because I knew I'll get up to 50 to 60 people. Won't nobody come on and talk about this? Because a lot of us, some of us don't want to talk about it. A lot of us are hurt and don't want to relive the pain of things that may have happened in the past. But if you're going to get mad at Dwayne Wade and you want to get mad at his son and him allowing his son to change his name, if we don't deal with this now, it's only going to get worse. You can't leave an infection untreated. And the black community is the last community to be broken. Yeah, well, Jordan Crawford, when they talk about the brain implants, they're talking about the nanotechnologies that they put into your bloodstream that goes into alter brain, the way brain function. They got a whole lot of different technology that's out there. The only power that we have is the image we portray in our households. And see the sad thing, Ashley Bolden, is we got to address who's in our households. Who's in our households? Because see, Ashley, Sister Ash, a lot of these actions has become, when a black girl's molested, she's been molested inside the households or another person's household that she goes to that we trust. She's been molested in the households. The problem is we don't want to have the discussion within the households that permeates through the community. People hate me right now for speaking the way that I'm speaking. They cut my stream off earlier for speaking the way. They might take my channel down for even being a heterosexual male and caring enough to even speak on the topic. To tell you the truth. I can get all religious, but I'm not going to get all religious with you. I can get all Bishop George with you, but I'm not going to do nothing. I'm not going to do all that. But I'm telling you, if you got a problem with Dwayne Wade and what he's doing with his son, daughter Zaya, then you should have a problem with our community as a whole and begin to research and study how we're being attacked and how you start to see that heterosexual men have no power. Heterosexual men are powerless across the board, not just black. Because everybody's not gay. But you have a lot of ones that are gay, that are in power, that's pushing the agenda. Full-fledged, nonstop. And you got to have a good guy and a bad guy. They make you believe that there's a struggle and there's a fight. Where no, it's not. They're pushing this agenda full swing. They even pushing the thing for gay reparations. Gay talk shows, gay TV shows. Everywhere. Because they're unveiling themselves. Don't be surprised in the next 2 years or so, you're going to see your favorite athletes come out as gay. Your favorite entertainers that you looked at as straight, masculine people come out as gay. Everything is opening up because that's where the bag is. Endorsements. You want that big endorsements? Be gay. You watch Young Thug come out and use the gay community to bolster his career. You're going to start seeing that if you want to get this Nike deal or this Reebok contract or this contract, then you need to be aligned with us. And you're going to start seeing these men now be comfortable coming out being gay. Because that's where they're going. The minute you start seeing men be afraid to speak out against homosexuality, the society's already done. It's taken. They pushing it forward. It's been in your community. It's been around you, all around you. They've ran Hollywood for years. They've been in your movies. People that you looked at as so-called women and men was trannies. To this day, some people you see amongst you that you believe are straight people are transsexuals. You think that they're a man or whatever they call it, they're trans. They've been here. I'm not saying nothing that's hate speech. I'm saying stuff that's public record that's already known. They've been here amongst you. They told you in the manifesto Michael Swift talked about. He said we was your senators, we was your lawyers, we was your doctors, we was your presidents, we was your entertainers, we was your athletes. We was sitting right across the table from you the whole time. We was giving you the contracts that you was signing. Michael Swift told you, 1987, Gay Manifesto. He said you was signing contracts. We was giving you the contracts. We had the mask on. We promoted homosexuality and we made you believe you had power. We created the hypersexual male, the hypermasculine and the hypersexual male to produce more children to be slaves for our army. They said it. They said it. Now they're talking about population control. They're not talking about baby boomers at the wars of producing more babies. They created a eugenics society and wanted to make sure we're not producing more babies. Because this plan has been in action for the last 50 years. And now it's being unveiled. They put it in movies. See, I believe in the Most High. I'm safe. They're not going to touch me. Because they've been telling you the truth the whole time. They put it right in front of your face. But if you can't see behind your conditioning, then you can't see. These people don't hide nothing from you. It's right there in front of you. The truth is hidden right in front of you. But you can't see because you're not looking. You're programmed to be told what to think, how to think, when to think. But you got a problem with the gay agenda. Do you even know what the gay agenda is? Do you even know? They got, what's that lady name? She got the talk show where she's always dissing people and stuff and bringing up people business and stuff. What's her name? They just made her apologize. What's her name, y'all? The girl, Wendy Williams. Matter of fact, let me bring that up for y'all. Let me do this. Let me show y'all what Wendy Williams said about trans men and how they made her apologize. Watch this, y'all. So y'all don't think that I'm bullshit. Hold on. Hold on. Let me see. Wendy Williams comments on trans men. Let me see if I can pull it up. If they gonna play your comments, hold on. Let me see if they play the comments. Yeah. Hold on. I want y'all to hear this. Flexibility here. We can work something out. I didn't mean to hurt anybody's feelings. This is her.
Williams in tears, apologizing for comments she made about gay men on Thursday's episode of her talk show.
I'm 55 years old, and maybe I sounded like your auntie, your mother, your big sister, or somebody out of touch. I'm not out of touch, except for perhaps yesterday by saying what I said. So go through.
Oh, here we go.
And the great Valentine's Day.
That's what
Here's
she
what she
said.
said when men started clapping.
Well, first of all, if you're a man and you're clapping, you're not even a part of this, okay? I don't care if you're gay. You don't get a menses every 28 days, all right? You can do a lot that we do, but I get offended by the idea that we go through something you will never go through. And stop wearing our skirts and our heels. Just saying, girls, what do we have for ourselves?
Major backlash sparked online. On Friday, Wendy issued her tearful apology video on YouTube.
I'll start by saying I apologize. I did not mean to offend my LGBTQ plus community. On yesterday's show, I never do the show in a place of malice. I understand my platform with the community, from first grade to intermediate school to high school,
Listen
to
this
college, shit. To radio, and now to TV. I will do better.
For better
what
or
you mean
worse,
you do better?
Wendy has built an entire career off of keeping it super real, which E.T. saw firsthand in 2014, where she opened up about being herself and owning it.
I've always only wanted to be me, because it's too hard to fake being somebody else. And if there's one thing that I get delight in, is when people say, oh, so this on TV girl is the same off TV girl.
So I want y'all, so this is the thing, right? I played that because I want y'all to see Wendy said something off the cuff I don't even know if Wendy's a male or female, to tell you the truth, as to how she felt. And when Wendy got the pushback, the LGBT community lets you know, you work for us, bitch. You got out of line. We run this shit. We wear your skirts and your shoes if we want. We do what we want to do. You work for us. Crawl back on your knees and go out there to the world and apologize and let them know we run this shit. So I'd like to ask you, who's running the show? And now let me ask you a question, but let's use common sense. If we know that she made that statement, and right after that she has to make a tearful apology, who's been in power the whole time? See, because these people that's in power didn't just come in power once she made the statement. They've been running the show. They've been running the show. And this is the stuff that I'm trying to show y'all. I'm gonna play another video. I want y'all to see this lady, this white lady. She's doing all these numbers and she's pushing pedophilia. And she's saying that, where is it at? She's saying that let's be mature about pedophilia. She's telling the people to be mature about pedophilia. Let's look at this. Let's listen to this.
Lots and lots of illegal material was shared and lots of messages were sent through the network. Every day, every hour, every second. People from all over the world were logging into this network anonymously, which makes it extremely difficult for the police to track them down. Now, some of these people only had the aim of collecting child abuse and material online. Others also had the aim of abusing children themselves. Regardless, they all found this deep satisfaction in discussing their deepest fantasies and experiences with regards to child abuse online. Apparently, there's a market for this. Well, this makes me ask the question, how can we keep the world of the internet safe for our children? How can we reduce and maybe even eliminate the problem of child exploitation online? Well, that's quite a question to ask. As a psychologist, having worked directly with sex offenders previously, and now working for the Dutch National Police Child Exploitation Unit, I can simply tell you this. Unfortunately, we will never be able to eliminate every possible risk out there. However, there are definitely ways of making the world of the internet a safer place for our children.
How?
And the criminal justice system is one solution, but if we want to do more, I need the help of all of you. And in the next 15 minutes or so, I will tell you exactly what we can do and why. But first, let's go back to the basics. At one point, a website was under law enforcement investigation on which 1.3 million images were available. And this is only one website. From experience, I can tell you many, many more websites have been online. So the internet really is a great thing, but it gives us lots of opportunities, but it does have a downside as well. Because every time that offender presses that send or post button, a victim is re-victimized. Every time that picture is multiplied, re-victimization occurs. It's not really surprising then that all law enforcement agencies report massive increases in cases in the last couple of years. Canada is even talking about 233% increase in the last 10 years. So the problem seems to be growing exponentially.
Why?
And of course, we can partly explain this increase in the ease with which images are multiplied and the expansion of the internet. So we're not talking about absolute numbers of growth in offenders and victims, but still we're having a problem. Well, this may sound really shocking, but it's not really surprising considering that international research repeatedly portrays that 0.5 up to even 3% of our male population has some form of pedophilic interest. I'm talking about our male population here today because that's what most research is conducted on. I'm not saying that females don't have this difficulty at all, it's just few is known about them. But 0.5 up to 3%. Consider the Netherlands. We have 8.5 million men in total, so this percentage equates with 42,500 up to 255,000 men.
So wait. I want to stop this for a minute. This is a white woman talking about what's going on in Europe. And in their studies, she's saying that they have these percentages just in that one country of pedophilia in men. But this is in Europe. And if they have 8 million people, and America has almost 400 million people, how many pedophiles? That's what I'm saying. Listen, man, they know who they already know. Let me play a little more.
That's all inhabitants of a medium-sized city in the Netherlands. To make it even more concrete, I was told that there's about 200 of you in the audience today. Well, looking at you, I think there's slightly more females than males, but let's say that there's 80 males of you here today in the audience. We can all do the math stats now, can't we? Statistics indicate that there will be one or two of you who are struggling with some form of pedophilic interest. And what this means is that most probably there will be someone in your environment, someone you know, someone like your neighbor, like your colleague, like your football mate, maybe even your husband or son, who is struggling with these sort of feelings. The only thing is, you don't know about it. And here we get to a notion that I really want to emphasize, because even though these percentages are massive, most of these people know that they have feelings that they should repress. So most of these people...
I want to stop right there, right? And this goes along with everything that I've been saying the whole time I've been live. These people are the people that's running the world. These people are the ones that, like she said, they know they should be repressed, but this is the way that they view the world. And this is why pornography has been legal. Sex with animals and all kinds of wild stuff, liquor, alcohol, everything that goes against the morale of a society, because society is being ran by abnormal, sick people. And this is a white lady speaking about European society. She said in the room right now is 200 people. 80 of y'all might be in here with pedophilia tendencies. They're telling you in their studies when they studied themselves. So watch this. If they studying this, and these are the people doing the studies, then who do you think the people that empower? Now, is that to say that everybody white is gay or pedophiles? No, I don't believe that. Or everybody Asian, or everybody Arab? No. Or everybody black? No. But the people that are in power created the family structure to build nations and to build power, to build economics, to have say-so, and to use people as pawns. And now they're coming out telling you the truth about what they're doing. I've been looking at this for a long time. And I'm just here to tell the people the truth on what's going on. Let's listen to a little bit more of her.
People don't act out on it. They don't offend. Which is great, isn't it? But the problem is, these people can't talk about their feelings because they know that they will be hated for it. I truly do believe that every person is longing for love at some point in their life. And what if this love that...
Wait. Let me stop right there. Now, what I want the 48 people to do that's watching me right now, I want y'all to... This is what I want y'all to do. I want y'all to now put on your thinking caps. I want you to listen to this lady very closely. This lady is paid for and sent there by the dominant society to program the minds of the people to normalize pedophilia and to have love and sympathy for the pedophile. Because they're the ones moving the society in the manner in which we see it being moved. I need y'all to pay attention very closely. I'm going to back it up a little bit. And you got to listen psychologically as to how they operate. Get out of your emotions and your anger and put the thinking caps on and listen to this lady. She's bought and paid for and sent there by the dominant society. Watch this.
Don't offend. Which is great, isn't it?
Hold on. Wait. Let me go back a little bit more.
And here we get to a notion that I really want to emphasize. Because even though these percentages are massive, most of these people know that they have feelings that they should repress. So most of these people don't act out on it. They don't offend. Which is great, isn't it? But the problem is, these people can't talk about their feelings because they know that they will be hated for it. I truly do believe that every person is longing for love at some point in their life. And what if this love that you really wish for will forever be impossible? That must be a really lonely situation to be in. It's like telling me, we know that you love your boyfriend and we don't minimize this love. However, you cannot act out on it ever. able to talk about it with anyone. So unfortunately, sometimes it does go wrong. Sometimes people...
Wait, oh shit, hold on. I gotta go back.
Hi, I'm Rex.
Oops.
People do start offending.
Listen, she said how lonely it could be to have a love that you can't act out on. How hurtful it could be to have a love that you can't tell nobody about. So you having pedophilic thoughts. So I let my son go spend the night over somebody's house, and in the back room is a brother or a 15-year-old cousin who has these thoughts. And unbeknownst to me, or unbeknownst to the adults in the home, she's trying to get you to love and normalize this person's feelings. You gotta listen. This is what these people do. They like to play psychological mind games. Let's listen to some more.
And I'm not justifying this. On the contrary, I work for police. I'm just saying that it's a logical thing to happen. So what do we do with this knowledge? Well, I think there will be many of you telling me now, you know what, let's just ban all these people from society, let's just lock them all up and let's just leave them somewhere far away from our children. And from an emotional point of view, I can kind of understand what you're saying. I became an auntie last year for the first time. My little nephew, he just turned 1. Absolutely crazy about the little boy. And we just got back from a family holiday. We really enjoyed the sun and the beach. The weather was lovely. And I simply cannot imagine the possibility that my little nephew wouldn't be able to walk around in his swimming wear because some adult would be sexually attracted to him. Yes, from an emotional point of view, I can kind of understand that you would want to eliminate these people from society.
But
however, it doesn't make sense. And that's because we're talking about biology. We're talking about a sexual orientation, something that we simply cannot change. And on top of that, every day, new people are born with the same difficulty. So it's not practical to eliminate these people from society. They haven't done anything wrong.
What?
Rather than letting our emotions rule, please, let's be mature about this problem.
What?
Let's think about clever solutions.
They haven't done nothing wrong.
Because more importantly, this pretended solution doesn't take into account the variation between offenders and offenses.
Whoa. Are y'all listening? I got 60 people now watching. Are y'all listening to this? This is mind control at its finest. She's telling you, she came out and she's telling you so you can put your guard down. I work with law enforcement. So that's already a condition to the subconscious mind. I work with law enforcement, so because I work with law enforcement, you guys should trust me. Trust me, I'm the one on the front line out here fighting to save your children. So listen to me. It's wrong for us, for a society, to make a pedophile keep his feelings to himself. It's wrong for us to look at a pedophile as wrongdoing, and we can't condemn them because we can't get rid of all of them. More and more are being born, so we should just let it be. That's what she's saying to you guys. But she's hiding behind the thought process of being a police officer. You have to listen to wordplay and how they talk to you in these words. So I'm sitting in this audience and I'm listening to this woman speak, and I'm like, you talking to George. I hear you, white lady. And you're sick. So she's saying that she's a psychologist and she works with law enforcement. So you put your guard down and believe that what she's saying is right because she's telling you that she works with these kind of people. So now you look at her as believable. But Satan sends his minions. Satan is the greatest of all deceivers. And we had a fight and a struggle for the minds of the people. So this is mental warfare. And if you don't understand the way the enemy is attacking you, Ephesians 6 with your armor of God, then they would send women like this And she will only have you wrapped up to the point where your child is being molested and you don't know where it came from because you trusted people like this. Let's play some more.
We think about when we hear about sex offenders is what we see portrayed in the media. And the media usually reports about the most extreme cases, the real violent offenders, those people that are portrayed as monsters and less than human. You may have heard about the case of Joseph Fritzl in Austria. He locked up his daughter in a cellar and abused her for years. Maybe you've heard about Robert N. in the Netherlands. He abused 83 children within the ages of 0 and 4 in a daycare facility where he was working. I think most countries know a notorious case like that, and these are the type of cases that all our popular TV series are based on. And I can kind of understand that you would want to eliminate these type of people from society. But the problem is, this distorts our view of the factual situation. Because in fact, sex offenders aren't all those violent, gruesome men waiting in the bushes for children they can attack. On the contrary, research portrays that the great majority of children that are abused, I'm talking 70, 80, maybe even 90%, they're abused by someone they know, someone close to them, someone from their neighborhood, their family, or their sports club. And now I hear you think, yeah, but you know what, whoever the offender, whatever seriousness the crime, they should still all be punished for it. Yes. But what if this time the offender...
Oh, wait, I gotta stop again. She said, now what she did was, and she played games again. Now this is where we gotta pay attention. She said that she read off about in different places of one man molested 85 children from 0 to 4. Another man tied up a girl and molested these different women. And then she went on and she said, separate the other sex offenders from these sick people. And she said, these other people may be inside your house. They may be your cousins, your family members. But those same violent sex offenders was from communities that was cousins and family members, people that was trusted. See, she used mind control. The same way she said separate them, that one man that molested those kids 0 to 4, 83 of them was trusted in the daycare to work with people. He was in the community, insulated. You gotta listen. These are agents of destruction. This is a Luciferian reptilian right here talking to you in the form of saying she works with police department and she works in psychology. So you put your guard down and you listen to her as truth, but she's a goddamn devil. She's speaking with that soft voice, and they put this white woman up here to talk to you, and she's talking to crowds of white people. This is the game that they play. But what I want y'all to understand is this. Because George Macon can see this, all the enemy going to do is send a person that's black and talk in the language that we understand. They're going to send somebody that's black that's going to talk in the vernacular that we understand, that will start to get black people to acquiesce to this, i.e. the Dwayne Wade and his son. So I may be able to see this white woman coming, but my wife, maybe my sister, maybe your sister, maybe your mom, maybe your aunt see a Dwayne Wade and see his son and say, well, maybe we should just be understanding to his son and acquiesce because the son is 12 and nobody's listening to him. He should be able to make his decisions, and they got you. They got you. See, we can see the trap of the white woman, but when they come looking like you, talking like you, coming from Chicago, from the hood, and they're giving the platform, they're giving the cameras, they're giving the lights to push this thing. You don't see it the same way you see this white woman. That's why I played the audio. I can't do the visual because I don't want them to strike it down. So I just played the audio. But this is a white woman is a white woman talking to the audience. Let me see something. Hold on. Let me see if I can get a picture of her. Let me see. Let me get a picture, show y'all what she looked like. Show y'all what she looked like. Hey, freaking light. I can't even get y'all to see it because of the light. Yeah, this freaking light. That's her right there. So they got this white woman talking to the audience. They got her talking to the audience, but some of us may see her coming a mile away. And this is all I'm saying is I want us to be able to see through the tricks, because when we talk about this gay agenda, we got to know what we're talking about. We got to understand how this thing is being operated. And right, we got to understand. Let me play a little bit more. Let me play a little bit more before I get out of here. I got about another 10 minutes.
And is your neighbor, your colleague, your football mate? What if this time the offender is your husband or son? What if this time the police shows up at your doorstep?
Well, listen to this.
I hear you think now, well, yeah, but I know my family, I know my friends, and it wouldn't happen. Not in my backyard, not in my family. And this is because we tend to think in stigmas. We tend to think that people who would do this, they're either really pathetic, lonely men spending 24/7 on the internet waiting for children they can groom. Or they must be really psychopathic men, really violent, with no conscience whatsoever. I can tell you from experience, this stigma is simply not correct. In my career, I've seen sex offenders with a lot of life potential. Social, charismatic men. Men with no psychological disorders whatsoever. Men with jobs, with wives. Men you wouldn't ever believe to get in trouble with the police at all. Men like your football mate, like your neighbor. Men like your colleague or your husband.
She said men with no psychological disorders. Man, y'all, man.
Or your son. Where I'm heading at is, we shouldn't think about this problem only from a criminal justice perspective.
Why not?
Yes, definitely, law enforcement is a great solution. Repression is a great solution, but it isn't always the right one.
Everybody in that audience should have stopped and said, lady, who sent you? What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Of course, when someone has committed a lot of offenses and doesn't ever intend to stop, we should punish them. But the criminal justice system has always meant to have been a last resort, and we should keep it that way. Think about this 18-year-old who took a nude picture of his 15-year-old girlfriend and then shares it with a friend who sends it to the whole school. Yes, definitely, we should have a proper conversation with them.
Now you see how she took an 18-year-old who may be grown, but still a lot of them are still kids in their minds, and a 15-year-old, and put that in the same group as a pedophile, an 18-year-old touching a 6-year-old. See how she mixed that together? That's mind control. That's mind control. You gotta listen to how they work, because they real crafty, real clever in the way that they operate. She took an 18 and a 15-year-old, and an 18-year-old and 15-year-old is immature, but so is an 18-year-old. 3 years in age, they still Now, it's a different. Come on, man.
But should they really learn the hard way? Should they have a criminal record for the rest of their lives? What about this 20-year-old? Silently been struggling for a couple of years now with pedophilic feelings, and who's now thinking about approaching children online.
Ooh.
Don't you think that someone like that would be better off if we were willing to speak to him? If we were willing to help?
How
if
do
we
you
would
help
want
that?
to listen and help him towards treatment?
How?
Consider this example. A couple of years ago, I was speaking at a conference after which I got approached by a lady, and she had a 5-year-old daughter who just received love letter and flowers from a guy who was living in their area. Well, what this lady already did was she went over to the guy's house. He was in his mid or late 30s. She spoke to him, and it turned out that indeed he was really in love with a little girl, and he couldn't hide it no longer.
Watch this, y'all.
She spoke to him. She had a really good conversation, and she convinced him to find psychological help. And what she asked me was, shouldn't I be concerned now? I'm really worried now to let my child play on the street. Well, I can completely understand, definitely. But what I told her was, at least now you know where the dangers are. And now you can manage this risk.
Man, I gotta stop. I can't no more. Let me come back to you guys. Buckshot. He said buckshot is the cure. I just want us to be aware of the way things are operating. I'm telling you that I'm against homosexuality, but I'm not against black people. I believe that black people, we got a lot of healing that we got to do in a lot of different areas. I'm not homophobic against my people. I'm against homosexuality, but I'm not homophobic against my people. I'm against pedophiles. I hate the pedophiles more than maybe you got a cousin, a gay cousin, or a gay butch cousin. I'm more interested in asking them who touched you. I'm more interested in asking them about. See, I could disagree and be against homosexuality, but that don't mean that I'm against my people. I don't think that you can rehabilitate pedophilia, but I think in the black community, outside of homosexuality, we got a lot of other things that we got to deal with. So I would not speak to a person just because they're gay, because there's people around me that's gay all the time that I don't know. But this pedophilia thing, before I have a problem with the homosexual, I got a problem with the pedophile, because pedophilia runs deep in our community. So many of our wives, so many of the women that we choose, that we lay with, somebody already touched them before they even got to the age of understanding what sex is. We got a lot of shit going on in the community. And when you play videos like this and you see this white woman, you got black people emulating this shit. And we gotta have a conversation. We gotta talk about it. So y'all think that I'm bullshit, but then when I break out the big guns and I show you how these people in power operate, then you get a chance to see, like, damn, these people wilding out. So I want to do a forum, and I want to get a forum with gay and straight people in the black community, and I want to have a conversation and be mature, because one thing that I'm not going to do, and I don't care what people think. People like to talk shit, but you got so many gay people in the community that you don't know gay. So I'm more cool with the people that's out. At least I know his stance. But what about that guy that's tall, heterosexual? People start dropping out when I start saying what I feel, because this is the fuck shit with our people. Because a lot of these people are gay, but they stand as heterosexual males or women amongst the people. But at nighttime, they out fucking men and then going back and fucking your sister. And we don't have the forums to have the conversations to know what it's like, Todd Collins, to be a straight heterosexual male and watch your children's mom give birth to a gay son. Psychologically, what does that do to the straight male's mind? Where's the platforms for that father that wants to love his son but don't know how to love his son because his son came out gay? Look at these motherfuckers jumping out. This is the problem I got with the hypocritical shit of the black community. And you talk to me about some fucking gay agenda. But when that heterosexual male is lashing out and he's in pain and he's hurting because he can't figure out in his mind how his children's mom gave birth to a gay son. Where's the platform for him to be able to speak? See what I'm saying? But I'm gonna get off because I've been here for an hour and a half. I put out. I see nobody. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I put out for the Georgia link. It's not working for me. I want to add the USP studies. Hold on. You said it's not working. Hold on for a second. Let me do this then. Hold on. You said the link wasn't working. Let me see. Let me put it in here. Try that link right there. Try that link there. All right, y'all said I tried the link. I might have been messing up and putting the wrong link in. Try that link. What's going on, GBS? Man, you've been missing the streams lately. Try that link right there, y'all. I'm throwing it now. Tell me if it worked. Let me see. Let me see. Okay, yeah, it's working. It's working. All right, great. Yeah. All I see is a bunch of light. Did you hear it, Ty? Ty? We can see you. We can't hear nothing. You ain't saying nothing. We can't hear you. Oh shit. Unapologetic came on and then it went off. Hold on. You there, Ty? He ain't saying nothing. We can't hear you. In the chat room, y'all can hear me, right? GBS, you can hear me, right? Brianna, y'all can hear me, right? In the chat room, y'all can hear me, right? Okay, yeah, cool. All right. Yeah, I don't know what was up with his microphone. Oh, you said you had 2 premieres, GBS? Yeah, I want to create forums. I want to hear from dads because I know moms a lot of times may conform and come around. Hold on, let me get this brother back up. You there, Don Cato?
Hey, what's going on, brother? Forrest, can you hear me?
Yeah, you got some feedback. You got some feedback in the background.
Yeah, that's why I was trying not to come on. But I just wanted to say, I hope that you do a part 2 on this stream. I wanted to just add real quick. I put the link in the chat for the National Institute of Health, as well as a defeat for the church militant, which is out of Baltimore. They tried to expose this in 2015 that the U.S. government is actually funding a lot of these studies through the universities.
Right.
A lot of these studies go back all the way to the 1964 when John Hopkins University was doing experimentations with the first transgender male back in 1964. They also were doing the same studies to biochemically and genetically engineer both marijuana and alcohol way back in 1964. That link is goes to a lot of different studies that have been done on adolescent African American males as well as grown African American males to try and uh, steer a race in a certain direction. Of course, a lot of that is actually done in a way that you have to actually read through the project descriptions, the results, and the history because they're all interconnected to understand what these studies are actually doing. So when you mentioned earlier about what's going on with the food, what's going on with the drinks and all of that, there is, and I say, there's a reason that all of a sudden marijuana, just as an example, marijuana is being pushed across the country. In my opinion, it's not that same plant that we used to pull up and roll it up, dry it out, and smoke way back then. This stuff that I'm not going to say we because I don't do that, but this stuff that we're smoking now is actually not the same stuff. It is engineered in a way to have causal effects. And these are the same effects that they mentioned way back then. What is the university? Uh, the Militant Church on their website, what is the date of this? April 29, 2015. They actually have a link on their website that goes to a lot of these projects that were being done by Johns Hopkins University as well as universities across the country. So, although homosexuality goes way back years and years and years, what we do see is that over the last 10, 15 years, it's been in hyper mode. It's been in hyper mode through the biochemically and engineering of the things that we ingest. I'll give you another. I'll give you another thing as far as brother Dr. Wesley Muhammad. I believe he's a member of the Nation of Islam.
Yeah.
He did a stream on this, an interview on this with the Do the Math TV. It's about an hour long. And I would suggest that everyone take a look at that. I'm not saying join the Nation of Islam or anything. I'm not promoting any of that, but to get an understanding of what is actually going on in the Black community. We are under attack and have been under attack. And unless you know how you're being attacked, there's no way that you can do a counterattack to that.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you 1,000%, and that's why I was doing this stream. That's why I was doing this stream to tell people like you can't complain about a gay agenda if you don't understand how the gay agenda is working. You know, if you don't fully understand the way we're being attacked, the way we're being challenged, and understand how this gay agenda is working, then you are already at a loss. So that's why I played the audio of this white woman, and I talked about nation building and how they built nations, and how you see the dominant society now unmasking themselves, unveiling themselves, and how they always been in power. They've been in power from the start. I showed in this live stream today how they pushed the nuclear family. They pushed the mom and dad in the house producing family because they needed slave bodies to build communities, towns, cities, states, nations, working factories, build corporations, working factories and extract resources out the ground to acquire wealth, to push their technology. Now we're going into automation and going into things where they don't need as many bodies no more. So now they're unmasking themselves. They've been talking about global population and population control for a long time. So now they're telling you that we're coming out. We're coming out. We don't. We don't need bodies no more.
Well, here's something to add to that. I'll take this back to how we can inadvertently support things that we don't know. I remember back in the '80s when Sister Dolores Tucker came out and she was talking about the rap music. We weren't trying to hear what she had to say. We wanted to do what we wanted to do. The music sounded good. But when we look at the conditions that we are in today behind the music, there's one thing to listen to the music, but then to try and go out and emulate. Everybody wanted to walk around with a Mac 10 on their side. Everybody wanted to shoot up the neighborhood based on what they were hearing. See, this media thing, and as I look at a lot of people that have these platforms, I'm not one person that likes to jump on a person platform. That's not me. I'll sit back, I'll look, I'll twerk in the chat, do all of that. But this is a serious subject because right now we're in hyper mode. We're getting to a point where there needs to be some solidification amongst our people. I understand, you have all these different groups, Igmore, Igmont, whatever. But one common denominator needs to be that we're under attack. And because, I got 5 brothers. One thing, we fought like hell growing up. But when we walked outside that door, we were going to fight everybody else and go back home and fight amongst ourselves again.
Right.
Plain and simple. Right now, these discussions that we're having in these YouTube streets, there's people in all these chat rooms that are just sitting there looking at, okay, how can I attack this dude? Someone may come in your chat room, see what Brother George is saying, and go back over there and just say the opposite. That is not unification. And every time I speak with you, I talk about discipline. The main thing that is lacking in the Black community is discipline. And I would like to hear people say that more and more and more. A lot of people want to talk about respect, but it's not respect, it's discipline. To be able to, have a disagreement with someone, have an understanding, go to the point where you can't, to the point now where you can't even discipline your children. Dwayne Wade, and I'm not a celebrity worshiper. I don't even watch television. So half the time when people are talking about these people, I don't even know who they're talking about. But the thing is, this brother can't even discipline his own son. Over the last couple of days, I've heard people say they'll disown their kid, they'll do this, they'll do. But guess what? The state got you by the balls. And that's what the whole issue is. When will the Black community stand up and say, you can do that over there? Because a lot of this is being pushed by the other communities. Okay, you do whatever you want to do over there. But in this community, it's not going to be accepted. You know what? As you were saying, a lot of people may be fearful of losing that job behind it. Well, I'm not telling anybody to go out and lose your job, but at least make your voice heard until the tides turn the other way. We're fighting to get away.
I agree. I agree. I was having a conversation with my wife yesterday in the car, and I was like, we deal with a lot of things from a psychological basis, and what forms do you got for a heterosexual male that may have a gay child, and he's struggling psychologically with that. He loves his child, but he's looking at his child. His child is gay. and society is telling him that get over it. But how do you tell a heterosexual male who sees the world, who's been conditioned since he exited the womb to see the world a certain way, and now he's looking at his shadow, his son, and he's a cupcake? What, you know? And the world just says, "Hey, get over it." So in this forum, I want to talk to heterosexual males. I want to talk to gay black men and gay black women, because what I know, I think the mistake that we make too is in the black community, we think because okay, you gay, and then there's an LGBT community, and you got white gay people and black people, and gay black people. You think just because those two people are gay, that racism go out the door. White people that are gay still hate niggas. They don't stop there. So I think that like we got a lot of unresolved and undiagnosed traumas that's never been dealt with and talked about that we got to talk about. We got to talk about that. Go ahead, brother.
But see, that's the bigger issue. That is a big issue right there, brother George. People are forgetting, no matter what, in this community, you're still black first, and then everything else. You know, you're black first, and then you're LGBTQ. You're black first, and then you're SYSBM. You're black first, no matter what. And that's the thing. That is, everybody wants to be that other person. No, you have to be you. And if you've forgotten who you are, when did that start?
Right. And you know what's funny? Homie? The reason why you got black people that fall into that LGBT trap and SYSBM trap and all them other traps, because we got a lot of undiagnosed traumas in our community that's never been dealt with. So everybody's running away from being black. But this is the question. This is just me. And I'm just putting this question out to the chat room and out to the airwaves. Being black in America hurts. But being black and then gay, being black and gay, right? If you're black, you already discriminated against. But then if you're black and gay, the people in the black community hate the gays more than the pedophiles. We don't talk about pedophilia, but we'll hate and downtrot the gays. So at what point do we deal with pedophilia to try to figure out how homosexuality is running so rampant? Because I'm seeing the LGBT community use our black people as weapons against us now because we pushed them away. Go ahead, bro.
Well, here's the thing on that, and this goes to what the brother Q brother is doing. You know, one of the main problems is that we have to send our kids out because mom and dad have to go to work. So we send them to the other people to do the educating of them. And then when we get home, we have to deprogram them. You know, it's a tiring cycle that we're going through as parents. Well, mine are grown now. So, but the thing is, it is a tiring process. We need to be there for our kids, or at least know that we are sending them to a place. And I have to say, you know, it's just plain and simple. I have no faith in the public educational system whatsoever in California. I have little faith in as Democrats throughout this whole process. Because I'm gonna tell you something that's going on here in California right now that I mentioned yesterday. Back in 2016 here in California, they actually legalized it, that pimping and pandering amongst adolescents is legal. So therefore, say for instance, if you have a 16-year-old that has little to no parental supervisions, he all of a sudden decides he wants to have his pocket. He's going to talk that 15, 14, 13-year-old into doing things that a child should not be doing. So for all the people that are saying, you know what, all of this, you know, we're just going to send our kids to school and let these people educate. You got deviants educating your kids. That's not good. You got politicians that are advocating for a lot of these things. That's not good. You have university doing studies on things that are actually, let's say for instance, if they're doing studies under the guise of how do we decrease AIDS, well, back in 19, what was it, 1985, they did a study with 40 adolescent males, okay, on their, well, let me change that. They did a study on 40 adolescent homosexual males on their first sexual experience. Well, number one, when you read the study, it sounds like, okay, we're doing a study on 40 males. But no, they're adolescents. And then on top of that, how are you a homosexual if you've never had sex in the first place? So the whole study is written up in a way to be deceptive of what the actual study is.
Right.
But the U.S. government gave them $400,000 to do this at Johns Hopkins. They gave other money to the University of California. They spread this money out across the country to do studies like this. So I would advise everyone to look at these studies. I put that link in the chat a while ago, or at least the case number.
Hey,
Um,
let me ask you real quick, Kennedy, before I put the show pads on. Why do you think the black community is so afraid to actually deal with homosexuality in the black community?
well, you mentioned that earlier. Number one, um, there was a time when the church pastors would tell you exactly what you need to know. Now, because of the 501c3, they're not telling you. They're just wanting you to sit down, put money in the plate, and then go home. So they're afraid to speak against their own interests of being subjugated to the government. There should be that separation between government and state. There should be that separation between church and state. I don't think any churches should be receiving money from state because you can't do what you need to do. You can't lead the people in the way, the natural way. Yesterday we were talking about femininity, and I was listening to the guys trying to define femininity. You know, the basis of that is we were born male or female. That's it. Everything else beyond that is a role in your culture, is a behavior in your culture. What's different in Philadelphia may not be the same in
Okay.
Los Angeles.
Right.
So your culture defines what that femininity looks like. I grew up in Louisiana. I had I had aunts that knocked your ass out, but they were feminine as hell. That was them. So it's different wherever you go.
All right, let me bring Topaz in. Topaz, what's going on, sis? Let me ask you. I don't know how much of the I got this feedback. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I laid out for almost 2 hours. I laid out a whole premise on homosexuality in the black community, and what I did was show the audience the difference between the homosexual agenda and being black and gay. It's two different dynamics being played out, and I'm showing. I was telling black people we can't keep complaining about the homosexual agenda if we're not going to deal with homosexuality in our own community. So I ask you, from your perspective, why do you think the black community is so afraid to actually deal with homosexuality?
we're very avoid we view everything because they did. That's part of it. It was by design to in place in our mind that we're not going to win a war against them. So we don't go against them. Whatever the dominant culture says, we accept it. We do it so that we don't get put back in the. It's kind of like being threatened. You know, if you don't do this, then I'm gonna knock you out. So I think that anything, if we're telling ourselves that this is a agenda being pushed by the powers that be, we're not going to fight back against it. But then, we have to understand that that means that we're also signing on for whatever the result of that is. And what do we think the result of homosexuality is going to be?
Right. So let me ask you then. Let's let's separate the dominant agenda for a minute, right? The gay agenda from the dominant society. And let's look at when we look at how many black girls are molested in the black community. Why does the black community frown upon the homosexuals, but we don't like to talk about pedophilia in our own community?
Because it was well, okay, so my theory, because I want y'all to understand this is a sensitive topic, and so you don't really get a straight answer
Right, right.
until
I got you. I got you.
somebody's on their death end, blessing if you. So from what I can notice and what I've studied, the reason that the black community does not address pedophilia is because we view it as taking that person to a lynching. And we know inherently that they're not going to get a fair trial. And so we feel that it's not worth it and that the kids will get over it because in the culture that we live in, and I'm talking about America overall, right? We believe that sex isn't that big of a deal. It's not as big of a crime to do it to someone who is unwilling as such, as things like extortion when it comes to, I mean, not extortion, but embezzlement when it comes to money, as murder. There's so many other things that we prioritize as bad for the community over
Right,
sex because it's seen as a natural act. And so the thinking of that is, well, you were going to do it anyway. It was just going to be later. So nobody technically did anything to you that will warrant lynching this black person and having them just ran through the system. We view it as too big of a punishment for the crime, which I disagree.
right. Because so then when I look at the black homosexual and last year having this conversation, I did the series. I had a young man that was homosexual. And he said, you know what he said to me? He said he had six siblings, and he loved his mother and father just as much as they did. But he was ostracized or looked down on for being gay, and then he was black, and he didn't feel like he had a place,
Hmm.
but he didn't want to be a part of the LGBT community because he felt that those white people still was racist. So I kind of felt like,
Hmm.
even though I disagree with homosexuality, I don't like it. I think it's unnatural. I don't like it at all. But I love my people.
Right. And it
So,
is like
and knowing,
that community is in fact racist, but they just don't do it as often. So it's seen as the lesser of two evils because I talk with a lot of people that are going through, coping. They're having a hard time coping with the result of them coming out of the closet.
right, right. But this is the thing though, Topaz, because I can go ham and I can say I'm tired of this gay shit and go crazy. But what about all the people that's down low that's standing next to me that's
Right.
fighting that fight with me this day? So I guess what I'm trying to say
That's
is
fighting
this:
the fight with you
I can
what?
disagree with the people that stand and fighting the fight with me, but they're down low.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So it's kind of like I can disagree with homosexuality and say about a cousin, he was gay. I can disagree with homosexuality, but that don't love him. I don't gotta hang out with him.
Right.
I just feel like
Right.
in our society, we've been beaten down so much and have so many unresolved issues. How do you just pick that and just frown upon it, but not everything else?
And how do you pick that in just what? Because I can hardly hear you.
Oh, I don't know. You know what? You got an echo coming through.
Okay. I'm gonna drop out and come back in on a
Yeah,
different device because I think my phone is not set up
yeah,
right.
it's a real bad echo.
Okay. Okay. Give me like 2 minutes.
All right, Kenny, Kenny,
Okay, Brother George.
yeah, go ahead, brother.
I will, for what you're saying, I'll give an example of that.
Okay,
The Catholic Church. For many years, the Catholic Church has known amongst them that a lot of the priests were doing things that goes against what the so-called Catholic doctrine is. I think 3 years ago there was some 17,000 priests here in the United States that were no longer allowed to preach within the Catholic Church. So they were disbarred. So those 17,000 priests are amongst, are throughout the United States. They never faced any prison time. They never faced anything other than being excommunicated. One of the things that needs to be done is these people need to be identified. The people in the black community, there needs to be a standard. Someone mentioned yesterday about public shaming. There needs to be a standard in which people that are doing this need to be identified. You either change your behavior or you're excommunicated. The thing is, a baby that is born today will know nothing about this deviant behavior, none. Okay, but as soon as you start introducing the media, the music, the clothing to them, that's where those habits tend to form. If we don't disassociate those behaviors, whether that means homeschooling, whether that means, of course, having to work, you can't watch your kids 24 hours a day. But if you know where your kids are and who your kids are with, you know you're not gonna put them with Uncle Junior. You know you're not gonna put them with Sister Kathy if they got some kind of suspect, if they're a suspect of this deviant behavior. Identify the people for who they are. Let them be who they are if that's who they choose to be. However, you don't need to come around mine. I heard a brother say yesterday, you know what? I will do what I can do to try and correct this behavior. If it isn't corrected, then I have to cast them away.
Right, right. And see what I'm doing now in my series. I'm taking all the opinions because I know when it comes to us as men, we're more hard nosed on it than our women. But what I want to do is I want to do a series on this with no judgment, on nobody's opinion. Like Don Cato's opinion is just as much as important as Topaz, just as much as important as George's. But I want to document this in the black community. I want to go around uh, and hopefully I can get a bunch of straight and gay people from the black community. And I want to have a conversation that don't nobody want to have. I want to get us all together. And I
Yeah,
want
but
to begin that.
George, let me stop you
Right.
there. The thing is, you know what? You can be whoever you want to be. That person can be whoever they want to be, but hands off of the kids. Plain and simple.
No,
Nothing else
I
after
agree.
that.
No, you're right. I agree. What I'm saying is, what I'm saying, no, I see. When we get to this pedophilia part, that's a whole different. That's you was watching. You seen that video I just put that audio I played of that lady. No, I'm with you. What I'm saying is, I want to be able to talk to people like Ish Moon. I want to be able to talk to people like a George or a straight person and a person that may be gay and have us talk. We've never seen forums where we get like we live in the same house together. We work on the same jobs together, but it's like taboo to have a conversation. Nobody want to talk about it. Now, I know we know that pedophilia is one thing, but just breaking the ice and having that conversation, we don't even do that. To get an understanding, then when we see black men responding in the way that they do, well, where's the platforms for black men to be able to talk and spread their emotions when they find out they got a gay son or a gay daughter? Like we talk about everything else but this, Topaz.
We have
But
to create them ourselves, which is what I'm trying to do. Is there's a lot of things that impact our. Can y'all hear me
yeah,
this
we can
time?
yeah, way better.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Um, there's a lot of things that affect us that we're not allowed to talk about, that we shy away from. And the reason that, the things we're not allowed to talk about are because somebody else benefits. But the things that we shy away from, that's usually because we fear the backlash from our own community. Like you said earlier, there wouldn't be any other place to go. We are the community that accepts everyone else's, castaways, but then who accepts ours? None, no one. And so even if we have a person that is black and gay, they normally, if they don't put gay first, they won't be able to go over there because we, end up casting them away as well. And then what do they have? So my hope is to create a place where people can express those emotions, because they are in fact human emotions. Isn't If you talk to a gay person and tell them that you're sad because you have a gay child now, they're gonna get offended because they're gonna take it personally. Whereas if we open our minds and we open our understanding, we would get the fact that they're grieving a whole lot more than just their child being homosexual. They're grieving the loss of grandkids. They're grieving the loss of peace. They're grieving the loss of religion in some aspects. They're grieving a whole lot more than just their son or daughter's sexual choices. It's more to it than that. But we can't expect the LGBT community to understand that, because their emotions are, I had so much trouble coming out of the closet. I needed to be so strong to do this. That's where everything in my thoughts are coming from. So I can't be there for you right now. I'm still going through something. So we both, on both sides, we have to understand that.
And the LGBT community never understand the black community's plight. And
Right. No, they just want to use it to step up to get their own civil rights, which they are using to lobby to get things that we couldn't get.
yeah, well, and the thing is this: what I say in the black community, because I use logic. We already living together. We just don't talk about it.
Hmm.
They see the gay son, the gay cousin live in your house. You
Yep.
go.
And you just don't know.
The watch this though, Topaz. A lot of us do know. You go to work and feed them every day. You just don't talk about it.
Right.
It's there, but it's just not talked. The same way the molestation of black boys, that silent cry in the dark room. Don't nobody want to talk about it. See, we'll get on,
Right.
you know this, Topaz and Don Cato. We'll get on YouTube and you see all kinds of arguments break out across black YouTube. These women ain't shit. These men ain't shit. I'm tired of these drug dealers, Pookie and Ray Ray. But as soon as you mention molestation and homosexuality, oh my God, the numbers begin to drop. People go running. But really, what's been there has always been there. So my thing is this: I'm against pedophilia. I don't like homosexuality. But I'm gonna say this, and it's gonna be unpopular. If I was in a position of an employer, and I knew that Topaz was gay, I wouldn't just not hire you because you're gay. That's not the way I operate. I'm not into your lifestyle. We're not having that conversation. What you do and on your own time is your business. Don't bring that to the job. Anybody that
Right.
pedophilia work, they can't put to death. But that's a different thing. Because for me, before we can even deal with homosexuality, we got to deal with all the ills of our community. But homosexuality and gay people is just an aspect of a long list of generational curses that's never been talked about.
And you know what? And the LGBT community is now having to fight to stop people who are pedophiles from latching on to their movement now. So that's, the thing is the circle of life. That's what happens. If you have a movement that's successful, there are going to be people that latch on to it and emulate it.
You know
So
why?
now they're understanding what we go through.
You know why? For new people coming in, because the pedophiles are the ones that's been running the world the whole time. Early on when I started this live stream, I told everybody this, and most of us don't understand. Rome, or this Greek type of culture, has always been running America. See, if you go back, as America was being established, and they talk about these people hating homosexuality, that's a lie. They use women to procreate, to build nations, you need bodies to build an economy. You need people.
Right.
You need the people to work.
Right.
You need the people to build nations. You couldn't have a nation of homosexuals. That would be death. There would be nothing. So in order for them to come to power and push technology, they push the family. But behind the veil, was always homosexuality. See, in Greece,
Mhm.
the males were homosexual, but they used women to procreate. What do you think has been going on the whole time?
Yep.
I read the Gay Manifesto of Michael Swift from 1987, where he explained everything that you see that's playing out now. So you've been duped. You're watching heterosexual males with no power. They're crawling on their knees, afraid, speaking from the bushes, afraid to speak out against the wrath of the homosexual male. The homosexual male is taking his mask off, saying, "We got automation. We don't need you niggas to work no more. We taking over." So now you see it coming out of the closet everywhere. And you're seeing your athletes and entertainers and everybody else afraid to speak out, and they even taking up for the homosexual now. And then people come and tell me I'm wrong, but show me where the heterosexual man has power. Show it.
No, they do. They do have power because they do what we as a black culture are afraid to do, reasonably so. The LGBT community has come together. One, they're unified. You know how many different sexuality types that they're coming up with, and every time they come up with a new label, it doesn't, it doesn't separate them. It doesn't split them up. They have their arguments because I've spoken with people who practice alternative lifestyles, and they have their arguments. They have their negative viewpoints of other people and their labels, but what they don't do is speak publicly about that. It's always secretly in some back room
Exactly.
about how they truly feel. And so what they do is they pile all their money together, they protest together, they use their lobbying power. And if anything, since they, latched on to the civil rights movement, we as black people can see the benefit of political action and do it ourselves as well. And then that way, if we don't want to be, there's this thing now about D Wade and his son and all of that. And so many black people are so upset about it. But what are we going to do about it? And then men are saying we don't have the power in media. The media is pushing it. But the media is driven by us. If we did a protest and it got on the news, it would at least send the message that we ain't signing on, we ain't going. And so that's how a lot of things start. And we got to have follow through. That's the thing that we don't have that they do. They have follow through. They will put together a protest, see it through to the end, and then they celebrate and dance in all of these parades after they get whatever law passed that they wanted. We don't do that.
Well,
And I'm not admonishing black people. What I'm saying is, I understand why. I understand why we're not doing it. But at some point, we got to just face the fear. Of course, it's a normal emotion for us to have anxiety or to be fearful of standing up for our rights. But we got to do it anyway. The bus boycott took over a year. If we can't devote a year or 2 years to something that we think is best, then we pretty much got to accept that we're not going to ever
I'm gonna tell you
feel
why. I'm gonna tell you
anything
why.
other than
well,
inferior.
hold on. Let me interject there.
Wait.
Right there, that's where the whole social engineering comes in. You know, when we had the shows on television, the RuPaul's, the Ellen DeGeneres, the fat
Right.
white lady, whatever her name were,
Yeah, we
you
were
know,
supposed to catch this
their
a long
ratings
time ago, and we did it.
their ratings were through the roof. You know, if a
Right.
show comes out tomorrow with deviant behavior, we don't need to tune in to those shows. We let their ratings crash. We don't become a part of that. You know, as good as he is, Tyler Perry. You know, the whole thing of uh,
I did a
dr-
thing on him.
oh, okay. I haven't followed your channel, Sister Topaz. I'll try and tune into that. But that sends a subliminal message. You know, for
Right.
years they using this social engineering to push their message. They need to have a poster child. They need to have people to put out in front of America to say, hey, it's okay. It's
Right.
okay to
Right.
be this way. Okay, so
If they
right
flood
now,
your brain with it,
hey,
it becomes normal. What they're trying to do
exactly.
is reduce the aversion to it. And so
But
once they
see,
do that, then they can tell you that it's okay.
why is it that every time we look around, there's a black male face pushing this,
In the
or there's a
dress.
black female face pushing this? Nobody was out in front of the AIDS in the 80s until Magic Johnson's. They pushed
Right.
him to the forefront. Nobody was out in front of this children, being able to accept their own identity You know, you're a child. Who's the parent? But you know, now we have the government telling us, you know what, the child's in charge. You're just nobody. Once you birth that child, they're ours. Okay, if they're yours, then you take care of them. You take care of
Right.
them.
Well, you know why? Because the government views us all as their property. As long as we live on their land, they feel like they can do what they want. And what do they want to do is whoever's giving them the most money. And so, you mentioned a few seconds ago that, they always have a black face pushing it. That's because they recognize our political power more than we do. And so as long as they keep us busy, if we spend so much time negating gay stereotypes for black people, we don't focus on what else we actually need as a black people. And if we do that, if we focus on what we need and we are no longer feeling and behaving as we're inferior, then our kids won't have a reason to need something other than being black. There are a lot of kids that aren't even gay that, and they don't know that. They just tell themselves that they're gay. But there are a lot of kids that I work with that aren't even gay, but they recognize that there are more gay scholarships for college and they want to get out of the situation that they're in. So they're essentially using it. But once you do that, that's attached to your life. That's your reputation now. And you can't ever be heterosexual anymore. You could be bisexual, but once you put that out there, it's out there, which is my problem that I have with what we're talking about with Dwayne Wade and all of that. I know I'm all over the place, but this is a big thing that's happening right now to us.
Well, here's something right now. Brother George, I know you're going into the second hour. I appreciate you having me on your platform. But let me say this. If all of the brothers that I see that and sisters that I see that have these platforms, if everyone could at least dedicate, I know we dedicate this to debates, we dedicate this to, the ratchetness amongst these platforms. But if we could just dedicate an hour a week, an hour a day, or whatever, take turns, trying to understand how the black community is being under attack. I would like to see
Right.
more people coming out with these type of discussions. Even George, brother George, you did a stream on mental illness in the black community. Brother, I'm telling you what, there was probably 25 or 30 people in the room, but you're absolutely right. We'll see 200, 300, 400, even 800 people in these on these streams for a lot of the bull crap, but we don't see this when we're talking about real serious issues. We don't see this when we're talking about how are we going to use our political agendas, whether you want to vote Democrat, Republican, Independent, Progressive, whatever. We don't see this on the issues that affect our community the most to be unified and have discipline moving forward.
Right. Well, the reason why is what I was saying in the beginning. All these things we know, and the reason why I have these type of topics because I dedicated my platform to dealing with stuff that I know the black community don't want to deal with, and I get pushback from it a lot. I get a lot of pushback. There's a whole lot of things. But I'm gonna tell you something. Like I said before, these people. Hold on one second. All right, I'm back. Yeah. The reason why you see the LGBT and the gay rights come into power so fast, because the powers that be that's in power now, a lot of them are already gay. They've been gay.
Yep.
They just had to hide behind the veil. Your senators, your lawyers, your doctors, your judges, your athletes. Man, you got gay people everywhere in positions of power. And what I'm saying is, in the technology now, with all the technology they got, they don't have to wear the mask no more. They wore the mask behind societies, and they hated the heterosexual male. But
and it was their motivation.
Yeah, they used the sexual male. So when I'm saying that the sexual male was powerless, the reason why I'm saying the heterosexual male was powerless because the heterosexual male decided to sign a contract with Babylon instead of standing up for righteousness. So we complain about a homosexual agenda, but you signed off to everything else. You took his 501(c)(3)s. You bought his liquor. You watched his movies. You watched his pornography. You acquiesce to everything within the society. So now when Satan show up with his agenda, now you want to take a stand and he telling you to shut the hell up or lose your job. Shut the hell up and lose your endorsements. You better talk from the bushes. You have no rights. We're going to take our children and we're going to take your children. We're going to put transsexuals in the schools and have them talk to you. And I dare you say something. This is what's happening. So now you chose a job over righteousness with the dominant society. So now you're watching the hyper-masculine heterosexual male become powerless. Because a lot of these people you thought was heterosexual males were homosexual the whole time. So,
and you know what else? They were able to do something that we as Black people have not learned how to do. They were able to move in silence. We like to tell everybody what we gonna do if they don't do what we say do and all of that. Or either if we onto something that we think is good, we like to tell everybody about it. We could tell each other, but we like to broadcast things. And you know, we can talk later if you want about why that is, because I don't think it's a bad thing. I just think we need to be able to pick and choose. A person that's gay had to stay in the closet. They used it as their motivation to get on top so that they wouldn't have to stay in the closet anymore. But what does that look like? Is them being silent about it, them taking all of the insults and sitting through uncomfortable things. And so we don't do that.
I'm going to do something for y'all. I'm going to show y'all. I'm going to read something for y'all.
Okay.
This is going to be my third time. Well, you can keep talking for me. I'm going to pull it up. Wow. You can keep while I'm pulling.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm gonna just say mine first, and then Don Cato, you can do the other half. So the answer for me, because I don't believe in bringing up something unless you've also thought about a solution. Otherwise, you're just beating people over the head and making them feel powerless. So for me, what I think the solution is for us to think about what works. When was the last time that we were unified and we got something accomplished? Was during the civil rights era. We had allies that weren't Black, and we needed to be able to accept the fact that they were helping. We needed to be able to discern who was helping. We needed to understand that there was going to be some casualties. We needed to understand that there was an overall goal that was bigger than our personal wants at that moment. Put our personal desires to the side and then achieve something, and then we can celebrate. And so that's what we don't do right now. And I think we need to get back to that. It's time right now. We are not dying. We're not the age where we're 80 and in our deathbed. We got more time. So we can do this real quick, and then life will be a lot more gravy after we get this accomplished.
All right.
Okay, Don Cato.
Go ahead, Don. You want to say something before I read this?
Okay, I see this from, I'll give you my three different perspectives. I see this from a military standpoint. I see this from a law enforcement standpoint. I see this from a community standpoint. And I see all three areas are suffering from this unable to identify who this role changes, understanding what the worth of a man is, what the worth of a woman is. You know, I will always take it back to we're born male and female. You know, there's roles for males and females. I don't believe in the whole thing of bisexual. You know, you're either one or the other. I don't believe in a child gets to choose what gender they want to be. You do that after you're 18 or 21, whatever it is in your state. You know, other communities don't allow this in other countries throughout the world. Why is it so allowed in the United States of America? Okay, go ahead, Brother George. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I don't know if George can.
Yeah, I'm back. I thought she was gonna be talking for. I thought he was gonna be talking for a minute. I'm back.
See?
I'm bathroom. All right, let me read this. Damn, he dropped off. I wanted him to hear this. All right, this is matter of fact, let me share the screen. Hold on. Let me share the screen so you guys can see this. Because I want y'all to get a full gist, because I've read this twice already before, but I'm gonna do it again. I want to get a full, I want you guys to get a full understanding for why I'm saying what I'm saying about these people and how they've been in power. how they've been in power the whole time and you've been duped. You've been really thinking that the heterosexual male had power and he didn't. He was being used. So let's look at this. Michael Swift Gay Manifesto, February 15, 1987. In 1987, Michael Swift was asked to contribute an editorial piece to GCN, an important gay community magazine, although well to the left, most gay Americans and lesbians' opinion. So it says this essay is an outer madness, a tragic, cruel fantasy, and an eruption of inner rage, or how the oppressed desperately dream of being the oppressor. Now, I want y'all to really pay attention to what I'm about to read, and I'm going to show you how these people have been in power the whole time, but they try to mask it as if they've been oppressed, but they're really not. They're the ones that was been pushing the strings the whole time. Now, watch this. Watch how hardcore this is. We shall sodomize your sons. But before I read this, this is from something 30 years ago, but you see this being played out right now. We shall sodomize your sons, emblems of your feeble masculinity, of your shallow dreams of vulgar lies. We shall seduce them in your schools, in your dormitories, in your gymnasiums, in your locker rooms, in your sports arenas, in your seminaries, in your youth groups, in your movie theater bathrooms, in your army bunkhouses, in your truck stops, in all your male clubs, in all your Congress, in your House of Congress, wherever men are with men together. Your sons shall become our minions and do our bidding. They will be recast in our image, and they will crave and adore us. So what I need y'all to understand, when you see Dwayne Wade using his child as the poster child, y'all better listen to this though. See, I don't come out and just start talking, running my mouth. I study, and then I come. So I'm just backing up my 2.5 hour live stream where I showed you the white lady justifying pedophilia. Now I'm showing you what these pedophiles wrote over 30 years ago, and they're telling you that your children will become our minions and do our bidding. They will be recast in our image. Why is he saying the children? Because they know that we're softer on our children than anybody else, and to get through the children will get us to normalize this stuff. Now listen, right? Women, you cry for freedom. You say you are no longer satisfied with men. They make you unhappy. What do you hear women saying today? These men ain't shit. This was 30 years ago. This was 1987. Y'all being duped. You being programmed. They had you set up from the word go. So
this was a plan. This was a plan from the beginning, and they are not above. Like, the thing is, we as heterosexual people, when we give birth to kids, they come out of us. So we feel like we're above using kids for our agenda, but they are not. They don't have that as a boundary. We do.
So watch this. So it says, so now this is not relegated to black women on YouTube. White women, Me Too movement, white women, feminist movement. We're tired of these men. We want power. So it says, women, you cry for freedom.
Right.
You say you are no longer satisfied with men. They make you unhappy. We connoisseurs of the masculine face, the masculine physique, shall take your men from you then. We will amuse them. We will instruct them. We will embrace them when they weep. Women, you say you wish to live with each other instead of with men, then go be with each other. We shall give your men pleasures they have never known, because we are the foremost men too. And only one man knows how to truly pleasure another man. Oh God. Only a man can understand the depths and feeling, the mind, the body of another man. This is Greek.
And I've heard, like, gay men have said these things to me. It was like, you can't compete with me because I know what he wants, even though he won't tell you.
But this is Greek term. Now look at this. Watch this. All laws banning homosexual activity will be revoked. Uh-oh.
Yep. Uh-oh. And look at the laws that have been passed over the past couple of years.
Yeah, instead, legislation should be passed which engenders love between men. All homosexuals must stand together as brothers. We must be united artistically, philosophically, socially, politically, and financially. We will triumph. We will triumph only when we present a common face to the vicious heterosexual enemy. Y'all better listen to me. And so what I'm telling you,
because we so mean.
we're
so mean to them because we stop them from doing what they truly want to do.
So when I tell you, so when I come on here and I tell you that what type of power does the heterosexual male have, y'all better listen to me. The heterosexual male is running in the bushes right now. He's afraid because he was duped into going along with the system of the homosexual. So the homosexual has him by the balls. You open your mouth, I will fire you. You open your mouth, I will ruin your career. You open your mouth, I will take that 501(c)(3). So you better shut the hell up and let us push this agenda. We've been feeding you for the last 50 years. So now we pushing the pedophilia agenda and you're going to go along with it. And you start to see people that you regarded as good people come out and say, hey, we should just love everybody. Because they're pushing the agenda. So let me read some more. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. If you dare to cry faggot, fairy, queer at us, we will stab you in your cowardly hearts and defile your dead, puny bodies. We shall write poems.
Look at what happens when you say the word. Like, it's people that will ban that word from their chat so that they don't get taken down on YouTube.
Yeah, look, we shall write poems of love between men. We shall stage plays in which men openly caress men. We shall make films about the love between heroic men, which will replace the cheap, superficial, sentimental, insipid, juvenile, heterosexual infatuations presently dominating your cinema screens. So they did that with Brokeback Mountain, but y'all didn't even get it. Brokeback Mountain was,
and they're doing it now.
Yeah.
They're doing it now, which is what I had a problem with the newest show that Tyler Perry is coming out with. There's this guy in there wearing women's underwear, and the woman is just supposed to accept that. And even if we had accepted it, it still wasn't enough, because in the next show, like 2 episodes later, she was using toys on him. So it's like it's never going to be enough. It's not going to be enough until until homosexuality is the new normal.
And they did it with Empire.
Yep.
So watch this. We shall sculpt statues of beautiful young men, of bold athletes, which will be placed in your parks, your squares, your plaza. The museums of the world will be filled only with paintings of graceful naked lads. Our writers and artists will make love between men fashionable and whatever that word is. We will succeed because we are adept at setting styles. We will eliminate heterosexual liaisons through usage of devices of wit and ridicule, devices which we are skilled in employing. Now watch this, right? A lot of David Jeffin, a lot of your CEOs of these major companies are homosexual. He just told you. We are the ones making your shit, your clothes, the way you communicate. So what I'm trying to tell y'all is they was already running the thing. They just portrayed themselves as heterosexuals in order to gain power. So let's read more. We will, watch this, we will unmask the powerful homosexuals who masquerade as heterosexuals. I'm going to say that again for y'all. I'm going to say that again. We will unmask the powerful homosexuals who masquerade as heterosexuals. Look, watch this, y'all. You will be shocked and frightened when you find that your presidents and their sons, your industrialists, your senators, your mayors, your generals, your athletes, your film stars, your television personalities, your civic leaders, your priests are not the safe, familiar, heterosexual figures you assumed them to be. We are everywhere. We have infiltrated your ranks. Be careful when you speak of homosexuals, because we are always amongst you. We may be sitting across the desk from you. We may be sleeping in the same bed with you. Y'all better, man, listen, y'all better. Watch this. There will be no compromises. What do you see now? We are not middle-class weaklings, highly intelligent. We are the natural aristocrats of the human race. And stilly-minded aristocrats never settle for less. Those who oppose us will be exiled. You see it happening now. We shall raise vast armies as Mishra did to defeat you. We shall conquer the world because warriors inspired by banded together by homosexual love and honor are invincible as we're the ancient Greek soldiers. Y'all, man, hey, listen, man. I only thing I can do is tell you and step back. I gotta tell you the truth. The family unit, ground of lies, betrayals, mediocrity, hypocrisy, and violence will be abolished. So you already see that they're not pushing family units on TV no more. The idea of family is over with. The idea of that family structure, no, they're not pushing it. They're pushing the bag about me, the iPhone, me, I, what I can get. What are you doing for me? What have you done for me lately? All of that stuff is no.
Because then when somebody tell you they're gay, you are more able to separate yourself from them and then let them do them, because you don't see the impact overall on the whole of the community. And then B, you would understand and support them following their personal dreams. So they need us to all be individualistic.
Watch this. The family unit, which only dampens imagination. Oh shoot! Listen to this.
See? Yep.
The family unit, which only dampens imagination and curbs free will, must be eliminated. So your Mona Scott,
that's selfish. It's selfish and childish.
But watch this, Topaz. How many black women love that Mona Scott? Whoa, they love Mona Scott. But is she pushing family? Is she pushing marriage? See,
no, she's pushing understanding for what you go through when you're dating someone in the entertainment field, which is always some type of debauchery.
And they're using black faces to do it.
Exactly. Because we got to get on board, because we are politically powerful. We just don't utilize it.
Yep. They're using blackface. So let's read more.
And her willing to throw us under the bus to do so is about her money, her legacy, her grandkids, not ours. She's not setting up scholarship funds to prevent this kind of thing, because there's a way to do everything. If she wanted to just illuminate it, like she said, she could have placed it on TV and then use the proceeds to help kids prevent going down that path going forward. She's not doing any of that. She's taking it, putting it in her pocket, going on trips, chilling. And I get called a hater if I point this out.
Nope. See, that's all right, because they'll hell you one day and nail you to the cross the next. That's our people. But
I mean, it's whatever. I don't care. I don't be listening to that. But it's just the point.
Watch this, Topaz. Is Tyler Perry promoting functional black families?
Yep.
Or is he promoting dysfunction and black women with white men?
Exactly. Yeah, because the president got to be white, because the last time, what people were complaining about with what's the show where she was like helping him cheat on his wife as the president, right? This time at least she's the wife with a bunch of biracial kids. So I heard y'all say y'all didn't like her being a side chick, so now I made her a wife. What y'all complaining about? I'm complaining about the fact that why can't we still in 2020 think of the president himself? You are a black man. Why you couldn't put a black man as the president in this role? But I don't want the black man to be in that role, because that role is this dude acting a whole fool on there.
Watch this. What's the other guy, the gay dude that promote all the gay movies? And is he promoting black families? The guy from Philly. What's his name? The one
I don't know. No, he's not.
The one that owed Dame Dash all that money. What's his name? The gay dude. He did Empire. I forget his name, but they know who I'm talking about. None of these black people promoting, because they all serve this system. So when I told people, as I read on, when I told people there's a difference between the gay agenda and your homosexual sister that's in the back room sleep right now. Two different aspects. And so when I speak from intelligence and I'm studying. I know the difference. I know what they're doing. See, your homosexual sister that may be in the back room might have been a victim of molestation. But this person right here is creating the wheels and creating the energy that's creating the whole atmosphere that you see. So let's read on.
And your homosexual sister in the back room may choose to grow up, get help, and not do this to more people. They are trying to spread it way different.
Two different aspects, right? So let's look at it, right? It says, watch this. This is the scary part. The family unit, which only dampens imaginations and curbs free will, right, must be eliminated. Perfect boys will be conceived and grown in the genetic laboratory. Uh-oh. They already
Yep.
talking about that now. So they're saying we don't.
They're throughout all different walks of life. They're throughout all. It's pervasive throughout all areas, all life areas, and all different types of career fields. That was their goal, is to get one of everything so that they can come together. And if we don't do it, they will, form their own community, multiply, keep going, and then overtake things. That's their ultimate goal. They have a plan A and a plan B that they just told. We can hear the plan B in this.
So watch this, right? So watch this. Let's look at this. So now it says that they will be bound together in communal settings under the control and instructions of homosexual savants. Look at this. Watch this. All churches who condemn us will be closed. Uh-oh. Our only guides are handsome young men. We adhere to the code of beauty, moral, and aesthetic. All that is ugly and vulgar in battle will be annihilated. Since we are alienated from middle class heterosexual conventions, we are free to live our lives according to the dictates of pure imaginations. For us, too much is not enough. The exquisite society to emerge will be governed by an elite comprised of gay poets. One of major requirements for a position of power in the new society of homoeroticism will be indulged in the Greek passion. Any man contaminated with heterosexual lust must be automatically barred from a position of influence. Listen to this, y'all. All males who insist on remaining stupidly heterosexual will be tried as an homosexual course of justice and will become invisible men. You see it happening now. We shall rewrite history. History filled and debased with heterosexual lies and distortion. We shall portray the homosexuality of great leaders and thinkers who have shaped the world. We will just demonstrate that homosexuality and intelligence and imagination are extremely linked, and that homosexuality is a requirement for true nobility, a true beauty of a man. We shall be victorious because we are fueled with the ferocious bitterness of the oppressed, who have been forced to play seemingly bit parts of your dumb heterosexual shows throughout the ages. Look at this. We are capable of firing guns and manning the barricades of the ultimate revolution. Tremble, hetero swine, when we appear before you without our mask. Now I want y'all to understand something when you hear that. What you see right now is the beginning stages of the unmasking. They're telling you who they are, and you're going to see more and more people now comfortable coming out as homosexualities in positions of power. I want y'all.
And they daring you to say anything, because look at what they're trying to do now to Lil Boosie when he said, the surgery is just too effing far. Like he gave them already the homosexuality, but now they want to reassign this kid's physical gender before his body is finished developing. And somebody said it was too far, and now look how they treat. Well, personally, I don't know if everybody's on board with that. I don't think they have the numbers that they claim they do, but the point is they want to make sure, and they're safe to do so, to tell you, don't do this.
Well, they told you in this manifesto as you watch what they was going to do.
Right. And I have never read that before, but it's a place of awareness to see what's going on right in front of you.
Yeah, they told you, and this is the thing what I want y'all to remember, people in the chat room. But I got to get out of here in about 5 minutes. What I want y'all to understand is this. I read that manifesto again, and I'll read it as many times as I have to, because you see it being played out now. You're seeing heterosexual men run for the hills because we decided to take a check. We decided to go to work for the Babylon system. And because we're tied into them financially and our lifestyles dependent upon them, they have power over you. So now you're seeing black men and white men that are straight and Asian men that are straight shut their mouth. Everybody's afraid to say something. You better not say anything. You will lose multi-million-dollar deals. You will lose your livelihood going against these people because I keep telling y'all, I'm gonna say it again. They have always been in power. These men that stood before you as heterosexual males, as he said in the thing, they were always gay. You just didn't know it. But
Right.
they was building their power. They was building now with automation, all the things, they don't need you anymore. They don't need you to work in their jobs. They don't need none of this. They're pushing this thing, man, and now you're gonna start seeing more and more homeless. So now you got the different men that you see that decide to take a stand, they will be castrated and pushed off to the side. And I'm gonna tell you something. They're gonna make examples out of these heterosexual men that decide to take a stand to make everybody else afraid. These people will be publicly lynched. And this is what's happening. So now I ask the question as I go into my Bishop George hat. What stand do you take? You say, I mean, y'all in church every Sunday, Bible thumping. Do you stand before God on the side of righteousness, or do you side with the Luciferians, worried about your job? Either you got the mark. When they talk about this revelation mark of the beast, this is what they're talking about. We're in the stages of it. Either you got the mark or you don't. Which side you choose? You choose your
And
job.
churches,
Go ahead.
the thing is with the churches, they accept the 501c money because then they wouldn't be able to keep the lights on because we don't put as much money in the church as we claim we do. For somebody, we are a culture of people that claim to verbally support something and then don't put our money where our mouth is because we need to stockpile it so that we can compete with each other. So if churches never accepted 501c, can we literally say that we would have supported them with our money, with a tenth of our income from work?
I think that we've been conditioned to believe that dominant society is where it's at. If we was forced to have to be dependent upon each other, we'd be fine. The problem is we've been psychologically duped into believing in
Right.
and not each other. So I'm gonna say
Right.
it again for my Muslims, my Moors, my Hebrew Israelites, my people that practice Buddhism, all of y'all, what side do you choose, righteousness or are you willing to take the mark? See, when they talk about this mark of the beast, are you willing to be with the society or are you willing to take a stand? See, because you're watching people be nailed to the cross, be publicly hung upside down, lose careers. It's happening right in front of your face. Revelation is it's right here. It's happening. What side are you going to choose? See, don't come to me bitching about Dwayne Wade and his son, but then you're not willing to take a stand. You in the bushes whispering.
Right.
You in the bushes whispering. But then you in church catching the Holy Ghost and falling out. And God is looking at you like you don't even believe in my word. You won't stand
Right.
before you won't stand before Satan and tell him to get behind you. You rather go work for him. But then you want to come and worship me on Sunday, you being fake, and the enemy know it. The enemy know he got you by the balls. So what I'm saying is, at some point, we got to take a collective stand. And if you're not willing to see, because like I said, there's a difference between the homosexual and the black community, where we even come out of slavery with so many different issues than Michael Swift and his gay agenda. Two different things. So what I want to do is create a forum where I start talking to black people about black people issues, and we're not beating up on each other.
Right.
Okay, so close us out, Topaz.
Well, one, I'm gonna do a shameless plug, all right? So hopefully you're okay with it. So that's one of the reasons why I started the second series. I didn't finish the first series about the Black Plagues, about what's going on in our Black society, but during these sessions, what I do is I talk about a problem that we're having, but then me and my co-host, Classic Ruby, we talk about what a potential solution is. Secondly, I started a different series about lifestyle choices because you don't have to stay with Christianity. The biggest thing that I see is critique of the church, which I critique the church as well. I decided that I didn't want to be in the church per se because of the people that I met there who were doing this kind of stuff and condoning it. Choir director, pastor sometimes, and it was driving people away from the religion itself. So I started a series about lifestyle and walks of faith choices. And the next series that I'm going to do is going to be about the things that we need to preserve in the Black community. So I am a person that is a proponent of mental health treatment because we've been duped. And what that means is a person takes your brain and plays with it. They own your thoughts. Everything that you think that you're choosing, you're not choosing. And so that's why I'm big on forgiveness and understanding of other black people, because they truly believe and they're willing to take consequences for things that they didn't choose, things that were taught to them. And so if we keep that in mind, we'll have a little bit more patience with one another. And that's the first step to unity, which we need in order to be able to combat this. We got two choices, in my opinion. One, we let them run amok and then we just hide in the shadows and we feel how they feel and we hope for mercy like we're already doing with another group of people. Or either two, we stand up and we say what we want and we form together and we fight for it. We've done it before. Why is it so difficult now? All because it's about bedroom behavior. Because to me, that's what this is. This is a big public display of bedroom behavior. Homosexual people don't have to be in charge and make everybody else do what they do in the bedroom. This is like peer pressure for adults. It's turning life itself in America to high school. And I'm against all of that. I believe that we this is something that needs to be on the back burner. But we it can't be on the back burner until we, get people to be more in line with what nature says. If they create a LGBT lifestyle for the whole planet, right? Let's say they win, who's going to be reproducing these kids? Because we're going to have to do it anyway. They're going to do it in a lab. Well, that's the first. We can't, as a people, as a species, as humans, even imagine a ending to that would be helpful. Every imagination that is displayed through media in terms of videos about what happens when you start cloning people ends up with us being messed over. Why do it then? If we have not figured out a way to make that okay or successful or helpful, why keep going down that path? Let's choose something different. But people have to be willing to stand up and do that. And a lot of people are comfortable in their life and they're never going to do that. So we got to just basically pick the ones that are willing to fight, and the ones who aren't willing to, at the very least, just stay out of the way.
Right, right. So I want to create the everybody that know me know my platform that I deal with a lot of different topics, so-called controversial topics that the black community don't want to deal with. So I hope that y'all support me in this series and understand that I will be doing this series for document our thoughts. People know my
Right,
stance, so I may interview somebody that I may totally disagree with, but I'm giving them the platform to speak because it may be people that may understand them. I'm talking to different black people with an objective. I'm not going to give my opinion. I want to get all of us together in the room to have the conversation that we won't have. That's what I'm saying.
right. And be honest. Just throw it out there. Let's just hear what you have to say. Just go ahead, throw it out there, and then we'll deal with it once it's on the table.
Right. So that's what I'll be doing. It's Black History Month. I still have some Black History lessons that I had to do, but I just really had to talk about this today. But like I said, I'll have more. I'm working on I'm actually going to not do a panel. I'm gonna go out here in Philly and I'm gonna interview, get together about 4 or 5 black homosexuals, and I'm gonna interview them and sit down and document some of the things they said. I'm gonna bring it to YouTube, and then I'm gonna go sit around. Then I'm gonna go interview some heterosexual people, and then I'm gonna get them all together in the room.
Right,
And we want to,
right.
we want to have a conversation. So let me get up out of here. Let me, say to people, my usual saying. I want to thank y'all for coming out. And remember, I love my people more than they hate themselves. And I pray to the universal creator most high that these words are enough to inspire you. These words are enough to make you look at yourself in the mirror and make change. These words are enough to make you look at your children and know you have to make change. I hope that when you came here, you came in for information. And when you leave here greater than what you was before you came. You leave here edified. I hope that you share this information with your children. Share it with your wife, your husband, the people on the job, at the gym, on the water cooler, in the barbershops, in the nail salon, walking down the street with your friends. Have the conversations. It's time that we start having the conversations that nobody wants to have. It's time that we
Right.
start exposing these pedophiles, man, and we start getting to we start dealing with the emotions of the black community. So this stuff is important. Look for me coming either tomorrow or Friday with more of this. Remember, I love y'all. To the next time. Peace.